up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're going to talk about the obvious day we have a federal holiday. Talking about the obvious day that's in the history books now. This is the third annual celebration for the Juneteenth holiday, designated by President Joseph R. Biden in 2021. So right off the bat, should we be saying thanks, Joe Biden? After all, Juneteenth being designated as a federal holiday is only there because of President Biden. So we're going to be talking about Juneteenth because there are a lot of folks that do not favor designating Juneteenth as a holiday. I am personally baffled as to why anyone would have a problem with designating Juneteenth as a federal holiday. After all, we all get an additional day off work if you are a federal employee. So we will talk about that, and we will ask from a standpoint of Biden's relationship with the Black community. Does it matter any bit at all that he designated a federal holiday to honor the day Blacks actually gained their freedom? We're going to be honoring July 4th in less than a month. That is Independence Day. That's the day we typically celebrate this country being free from the likes of Great Britain. However, or England, better yet, or England. However, though, we know July 4th, 1776 does not designate freedom for those who are being honored on Juneteenth. So was it a good thing that Biden also honored those people who gained freedom some 100 years later? So we're going to talk about Biden and Juneteenth, but also what I want to talk about is something a little bit more perhaps near and dear to a lot of Americans, another issue in which many folks are going to be voting on. This is in reference to Christian Giovanni Ingalandi. He is an immigrant that came to this country from the nation of Ecuador, in the country illegally, crossed into the country back in 2021, down in Eagle Pass, Texas. At the time, he was accompanied by his own 3-year-old daughter. Well, he has just been arrested for brutally taking the sexual innocence of a 13-year-old. So what I want to ask you folks, as we hear some of these cases, it's not happening every day, but when Trump says, they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're sending us their rapists and murderers, this guy is a rapist. This is kind of what Trump was talking about. What I want to ask you folks is, does any of this, immigrants coming in this country and being involved in violent felonies, does this affect your vote? Does this lead you to want to get rid of Biden? Do you hold Biden accountable anytime an immigrant that came in while he was president, legally, illegally, documented, undocumented, asylum seeker, whatever the case may be? But when an immigrant comes in the country, and you can see where they came in under Biden's watch, and now they're found to be in some major or even smaller U.S. city, victimizing an American, does that change your opinion of President Biden at all? Because this guy was 25 years of age, and he brutally took the sexual innocence of a 13-year-old girl. Wow. Really bad. Came in from Ecuador. By the way, he came in with his own 3-year-old daughter. So we'd have to ask, where the hell is that kid? I mean, do you deport a 3-year-old? What do you do with the child that he came in with? But at the end of the day, does this affect your opinion of Joseph R. Biden at all? Those are going to be our topics. By the way, a side topic, it may come up, totally unrelated to the other two topics, but Vladimir Putin flew over to North Korea received the red carpet welcome treatment. There's actual video footage of Putin getting off the aircraft, walking up on the red carpet, this big, huge red platform, and hugging Kim Jong-un. Now, understand, both of these men are considered adversaries to the United States, but Trump had a friendlier rapport with both Putin and Kim Jong-un. So while folks are becoming more fearful of some type of potential alliance between North Korea and Russia, do you believe we might be better off right now if Trump was in office, considering he has a friendly rapport with both of those leaders? Side topic, we will discuss that. As always, the program shall forever remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section. You don't have to agree with the damn host. It's all about free speech here. That's how we've been doing it from day one. That's how we always will do it. So looking in the comment section, I see right off the bat, that's a lot of graphics there, Selena Dawn Hopkins. Says Trump 2024. We get your message. Torrance says they are both horrible. Biden is much better. Trump should never be president again. Wow. I don't mean to change the subject, but is New Mexico on fire? James, that's sad. Some of these fires are raging out of control. The whole state is not on fire, no, but they do have out of control fires raging out. Looking in the comments, though, my assessment remains the same. Dementia-ridden cadaver in chief. Damn, tell us how you really feel. Suggesting that President Biden is a dementia, well, he said senile in there too. Senile, dementia-ridden cadaver in chief. Let me just say this in regards to Biden being senile, dementia-ridden commander in chief. We got, what is it, approximately, how long is it before the debate? June 27th? So we're talking, what, 11 days if I'm getting no, it's closer than that, isn't it? Isn't it next Thursday? 9 days? My math is all over the damn place, but the debates are coming up soon. The June 27th debate is 8 days. There you go. Tech Talk, thank you. 8 days, Biden will be on stage debating Trump. When you suggest that Biden is senile, dementia-ridden, if he shows up in debates and looks normal, it's going to look awful for Trump and MAGA. I don't want to hear on June 28th, the next day after the debate, well, he was on cocaine. They gave him a bunch of Mountain Dews, or his dementia was in relapse. None of that shit's going to work. Either the guy gets on stage sounding like Ozzy Osbourne and walking like Michael J. Fox, or he doesn't. If you say he is completely out of his damn mind and he shows up sounding somewhat dignified, that's it. That is it. I don't want to hear anymore. Well, he's on drugs, he got lucky, and it went into temporary relapse. Fact is, any mental illness or whatever, there's ups and downs, but you can't plan ahead. There's no damn way somebody with dementia can say, on June 27th at 8 p.m. Central, I need my dementia to go into relapse. Doesn't work like that. If he shows up looking dignified, we'll be talking about it. Anyway, looking in the comments, Trump ain't winning shit. Stop it. Well, don't be so sure about that. Let me go to the box, asking that question. The Juneteenth holiday, did Biden get it wrong? There's a lot of folks who have an issue with Juneteenth, and I guess I'd ask, why is that? We'll go to Venus. Women are from Venus. Men are from Mars. Good afternoon, Venus.
What's up, man? What's going on? You can actually just call me Moo, man.
Oh, you got another account. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'll have to remember that as you come on. So, Juneteenth. There's a lot of controversy. A lot of folks are not happy about Juneteenth. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, racists are not happy about it, right? The people who wanted to keep slavery the Confederates who still want to bring back slavery, they're the ones who aren't happy with it, right? Anybody who is in favor of being partners with the black community is very much in favor of celebrating their release along with them. So the people you're going to find that are against Juneteenth are the same people who are against the LGBTQ, they're against immigrants, they're pretty much against anybody with brown skin or anybody who lives a different lifestyle than them. So
you started out by saying the people who want slavery back. You believe there are people in 2024 that want to reinstitute slavery?
Of course they do. Yeah, they are mad that they lost the Civil War. They're mad that their great-great-grandma or great-great-granddad lost the ability to have free labor and not have to do any work and just sit on their ass all day and watch people bust their asses on their plantation. And they're mad about that, you know, and they don't like that your skin is dark. So, you know, yeah, they want to bring back slavery. Absolutely.
Now, it's interesting you saying they want their ancestors to be able to sit on their asses all day and have free labor, because I'm often told it is the African-American culture that are the lazy ones that don't want to work. You're making it sound like it's the other way around.
Yeah, that's because Republicans hate the middle class, right? They hate America. They are a party for the rich. They want to give all their money to people like Donald Trump, and they hate people within their own class. It's always been that way with Republicans. I should say, before the parties flipped, right? Before the Democrats became the liberal party and the Republicans became a fascist organization, right?
You see the Republicans as a fascist organization. Explain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're total fascists. Yes, they want to implement dictatorship. They want to dismantle almost every department of government. They want the president to have unilateral power. And it's all in Project 2025 that was made by the Heritage Foundation. This isn't a secret. You can go read it online. That's their plan for this country.
Now, do you see?
I don't need to make it up.
Now, we've had Republicans in recent history. We're talking McCain. We're talking Mitt Romney, the Bushes. Do you see them as the same way
So George Bush and Cheney are advocates for the unilateral power of the president, right? You do know that, right?
I'm learning now. So you believe they too wanted a dictatorship?
It's not belief. They've written that they believe the president should have unilateral executive authority, my dude. This is not something that's unknown. You really need to go read some materials written by Cheney and Bush, because this is a well-known fact. Barr is also a unilateralist. He wants the president to have unchecked executive authority. Bannon is a unilateralist. Steve Miller is a unilateralist. The Republican Party is literally full of them. This is not a secret.
Wow. I never heard, when Mitt Romney was running against Obama in 2012, I was not hearing that Mitt Romney was trying to pursue a dictatorship, though.
Mitt Romney's not, but Paul Ryan is a unilateralist. Wow. Mitt Romney's just a nutty Mormon who wears special underwear to keep spirits away. That's his deal.
Special
And he's
underwear.
a corporatist, right? He wants unlimited. So Mitt Romney thinks the corporations are people, right? He loves to rob the middle class blind and then transfer the wealth up to the rich. That's his entire deal. He's a venture capitalist. Before he was a politician, he was a venture capitalist. So he wants the middle class to be poor, and he wants the rich to ever become even more wealthy. And that's MAGA's total agenda, is to make a country that is strictly for the rich.
Why would MAGA want to make a country strictly for the rich when most MAGA are just...
because they want to be accepted, they want to be adjacent to power, and they think that one day, oh, well, if that can happen to them, it can happen to me. And if I'm nice to them, they will prop me up and I will become one of them. You're never going to become one of them. They literally hate you. Literally.
So what you're saying
as much
is...
as I hate you.
So what you're saying is, even though most MAGA are just hard-working, everyday Americans, you're saying they're basically rooting for their own, not rooting for their own best interest.
For the rich, my dude. You can say it. The Republican Party is a cuck party, my dude. Anybody who follows Republicans has to be okay with giving massive tax cuts to the rich and having your money transferred to them. That's their entire agenda, and it has been for decades now. You want proof? Look at the wealth gap in our society. There's your proof. It's on paper.
Well, I was told they don't want, bullshit shoved down their kids' throats in school. They don't want God taken out of society. I was told they're fighting for other things.
If they don't want bullshit shoved down their kids' throats, then how come they all try to send their kids to Catholic schools?
What are you saying about the Catholic religion?
I want my religion in school, but I don't want any bullshit shoved down my kid's throat. Old men part oceans with sticks. Shove that bullshit down my kid's throat. People come back from the dead after 3 days. Make sure you shove that bullshit down my kid's throat.
Okay, so obviously you're not very religious, it's safe to say, correct?
I'm an atheist, my dude. Anybody with religion has mental issues. I don't care if you're a liberal, a Republican. If you are a religious person and you have an imaginary friend and you are a grown adult, you need to go seek therapy.
So let me ask you this in regards to the secondary subject. So it's pretty clear you believe that MAGA is a group of racists and fascists. I get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I totally agree, but wow.
So why do you think they gravitate towards Donald Trump? Why do you think he spews the rhetoric that he does? Why do you think they're always having to tell you, well, he didn't mean this, he meant that? Republicans have been using racist backtalk for years. It's just Donald Trump took the backtalk and he actually says what they really mean instead.
You know, I've heard some folks on the program state that since Trump got in office, they feel like racism is more open. I'm assuming you agree with that as well.
Sure I do. Of course I do. Listen, before Donald Trump came along, these people lived in the shadows, which is where they need to go back to. They didn't speak out like they do now because they were embarrassed, as they rightfully should be, to do so, right? Because you guys are embarrassing. You're an embarrassment to the country. You're an embarrassment to the members of your family who don't agree with you. I mean, you guys are just the worst America has to offer.
I mean, you really are harsh today. Florida, look like it says Florida Blondie on YouTube says Biden has used racial comments as well. And there in a lot of minorities are voting for Biden.
Context matters, right? Context matters, right? And I've said the same exact thing Biden did, that if you're a black person and you vote for Republicans, you're an Uncle Tom. Biden said it in a different way. Biden said, if you vote for Republican, you're not black, right? Yeah. So what he meant was, and I shouldn't need to explain this because it makes sense, Black Republicans work against their own self-interest. The Republican Party uses minorities in order to recruit other minorities to come over and help them complete their agenda for the rich and the agenda for white supremacy.
But what would
that's why they take to minorities, right? Because they're trying to recruit them over.
But
so they can use them.
Most blacks are not rich. So why would they work on an agenda that benefits the wealthy?
It's not about the money that you have. It's about the clout that you will bring them, right? Because if black people see a large majority of their population going over to that party, people tend to follow. It just works that way. It's human psychology.
All right, let me ask you a secondary question. I understand your point there. I may not agree with all of it, but who gives a damn? Kristen Giovanni Inga Landi, the 25-year-old illegal immigrant from Ecuador, sexually assaulting a 13-year-old. Does this reflect poorly on Biden? Came in the country illegally back in 2021.
I think that when crime, so is any crime in the country going to reflect on Biden, or just this one because it was done by an illegal immigrant?
Well,
does all crime reflect on Biden, or just this one case because it's convenient for MAGA to use this as a talking point? Is that what it is?
Well,
I feel like that's what it is.
Well, the idea is that Biden did a piss poor job securing the border, so anybody that comes across the border, he gets blamed for it.
Let's think about that, right? So let's think about that. First of all, there's over 600 miles of wall along the border already. Trump added about, I think it was about an additional 52 miles to that, okay? So if more wall actually makes you safer, then how come MAGA says we're not safer right now? There's a bigger wall after Trump than before. And yet you keep on saying that things are worse at this point. And no, that doesn't reflect on Biden at all. You have criminals, you have American criminals, and you have illegal criminals. I mean, the crime is a crime. It doesn't reflect on anyone other than the criminal.
All right, fair enough. He is being hammered by that, though. Let's say, for instance...
Of course he's being hammered by that. It's a talking point for the right. Of course he's being hammered for it.
I don't disagree.
Right?
I don't disagree with that, but do you think it's hurting his campaign?
No, man. And like I said already, man, no one is changing their vote at this point. People are set on who they're going to vote for. The people that are going to, so people aren't switching their votes because of anything that Trump or Biden does. They're just going to sit it out. So whoever has the most people sit out of the election, they're going to lose. They're not gaining voters.
Let me ask it to you this way. Let's say Biden comes out next Thursday, June 27 at the debate, and he sounds like a slobbering old fool, doesn't know where he's at. Would that affect your vote at all?
My vote is for Biden because Biden is not going to pull a fake elector scheme and try to overthrow democracy, right? That's the only reason I'm voting for Biden. Biden is not a good president. Is he better than Trump? Sure, but that's like the lowest bar in all history. That's not even a compliment. Okay, I'm voting for Biden because, again, Biden is the means to an end for me. My goal is to take over the Democrat Party with progressives who don't take corporate money. My main goal is to get a president in office who doesn't take any corporate PAC money.
You may
because
never
if you
see
can
that.
do that, you'll finally get a government that works for you instead of rich people like MAGA wants.
All right, I got to move it on, but you realize High on YouTube is saying World War III. If Trump doesn't win, we could have, a major conflict in this country.
Listen, man. Listen, these people are a joke, okay? You guys couldn't even raid a Capitol properly, okay? You got beaten down by like the 10 cops that were there, and you got pushed out by like almost nobody. You guys aren't taking... So New York City alone has enough people to stop anything you can do. All right, guys, you're not going to win against the left. You're a minority, which is why you don't like democracy, because it's mob rule, right? You're outnumbered. This is why you always have to lie about crowd sizes. This is why you always have to lie about all of your numbers. So you make yourselves feel big. But really, you're just a tiny little fraction of America. And if you ever did actually start some shit, you'd get wiped off the map by liberals so fast your fucking heads would spin.
Damn. Moo. I'm gonna leave it at that. Appreciate you coming on, Moo. As always, good talk.
You have a good one.
Oh my God. Always opening the program up with a little bit of hostility. Yikes. Liberals are weak, says this damn pink shit I'm wearing is making it hard to read the names. This is what my closet threw at me, so I know some of you guys may think this shit look gay as hell. I'm sure I'll get a million comments on it. It's no big deal. By the way, tap the screen to my TikTok viewers. Get the likes on up to about 20,000. Somebody says Moo needs a job. What's wrong with my guest? Why you gotta need a job? I get told the same thing. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 20,000, over 400 of you in here on YouTube. I do appreciate you folks that are smashing that like button. Get the likes up to about 30. Do you know lying is technically illegal in Texas? No way that could be possible. No, that way. I mean, there's no way you could pass a law where telling a lie is illegal when the federal government grants you the freedom of speech. That makes no sense. My brother, are you proud of being American? Says Henry Kidd. Best place no other place I'd want to be. I like America. Well, I've lived overseas. There are some other great places, but I love living here in America. Thanks for the question. Trump and the white hats got them all 450,000 sealed indictments in the PACER federal system. Pence, Pelosi, Diddy, Fonnie Willis, oh my God, Tiffany, and who the hell is Tiffany? Jay-Z, and many more are going to Gitmo prepare for the EBS. A lot of acronyms in there. What is the EBS and who is Tiffany? Oh my God. Going back to the box. Tiffany, is that the 1980s singer or something of that nature? Let me go back to the box. We'll keep the program moving. One of my subscribers, Alex, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tiffany Haddish. You gonna send Tiffany Haddish, the comedian, the actress, to Gitmo? Alex, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going, Tim?
That's going all right. Juneteenth. Do you think Biden got it right with that, or do you think it's unnecessary? How do you feel about designating Juneteenth as a federal holiday?
Oh, hold on, my dog is being crazy. I think it's great. I think I see no issue with it in any way. It's like one of those things where I don't understand why anybody would find it a problem. It's something that doesn't really affect people that for me, I'm a white male, and I think it's it's not entirely about me, but I don't see it affecting me at all. Right. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it celebrates or commemorates a certain part of our history that I think we need to remember and think about.
There's a lot of folks, though, that are upset that Biden designated that as a holiday. No idea why, huh?
I mean, I don't. I feel like it's super ignorant, in my opinion.
Ignorant how?
Well, I mean, how do I feel like it's ignorant? I mean, I think it's just another one of those things where it only memorializes something that I think is important in our history.
Why the live access went down? Apparently, there's some folks that are on TikTok, because my YouTube audience tends to be fairly strong, but the live access went down. I have to appeal. I don't know. Somebody must have been complaining about it. You know, TikTok tends to err on the side of caution. Generally, the appeals go through. If not, we'll give it a few minutes. If not, we will resume the program on the backup page. For you folks who do regularly view the live on TikTok, we have two pages, the handsome liberal and then the handsome liberal without the final AL, without the final L. So it looks like libera. So if you go on TikTok, the handsome libera, that's also the official backup page. So when any time there's issues with the main page, we just go there. So we'll give it a minute. Donovan Edward asked, do I work for the Secret Service? I don't think they would let me do this. Can you imagine a Secret Service agent talking politics to hundreds, if not thousands of people out of his car? I don't think that would be allowed. If slavery didn't happen, blacks may not be here in America, says Florida Blondie. That's probably true. It's certainly not as many, because most African Americans in this country, including yours truly, have their roots traced back to slavery. So there would be blacks here, because there are blacks that have migrated, throughout the years. But you're correct. It would be certainly far, far less African Americans in the country if it wasn't for slavery. But then again, America has a history of trying to get its hands on free or cheap labor. Even if there was not slavery, my guess is America would have still been trying to import people to get them work for less than what the legal wages are. So you still would probably have a bunch of folks here, because they didn't just exploit the labor from blacks. They then went to Hispanics, Chinese, folks from India, Vietnam, the Philippines. America has a thirst for underpaying folks. That's our history. That's what competes with jobs for you and I. You dial some call center, it rarely features people who speak the language as a mother tongue. We are a capitalist society. One of the tenets of capitalism is to try to get cheap labor. If you can't get it legally, then you go try to lobby to your politicians to pass laws to allow you to bring in folks that are not American. I mean, America's corporations have constantly been undercutting our salaries and jobs by either outsourcing labor or bringing in folks that'll work for cheap. I mean, that's where all of the issue is capitalism. We want cheap labor. So it is what it is. Looking in the comments, we'll keep it moving for a minute. I'll give it a couple more minutes, and then we will move on to the backup page. You're hearing the other app kicking in. So exactly, when are we going to hear about all the black folks that own slaves? Oh, but that's different, isn't it? Timothy Bibb, great question. When the hell are we going to hear about all the black people that own slaves? Why are you making it sound like white people were the only ones doing this shit? I'll tell you flat out, up till about 1980, I mean, America was founded in 1776, so we're talking almost 200 years later. Up to about 1980, all of the history books in America that you found in schools and things like that were taught and produced by whites and white authors. So why are we not talking about black slave owners? You gotta ask them. That's where all the history came from. It's not like black people were trying to omit black slave owners out of the history books to only make it sound like white people were doing it. The blacks weren't even writing the damn books. This would also apply to the Irish slaves and some of that other stuff. If you're wondering why people don't talk about it, then you got to ask the folks who wrote the damn books. And I would submit to you, it absolutely was nobody black. So you need to ask those ancestors, why didn't you tell history accurately? There's no one else to blame. It came from one group of people. They controlled everything. Why did you not tell history accurately? That's all I can tell you. Because an African American doesn't have the power. They didn't have the power to tell all of that stuff. Looking in the comments, the Antifa douche moves big mouth gotcha banned. Looks that way, but we're gonna finish. We're gonna go ahead and continue on the backup page. I will, and thank you, Gen Xer. Appreciate that super chat. I will switch it over momentarily here and continue the live stream on the backup page. I mean, it happens. Like I said, we run a free speech program. A lot of folks do not favor uncensored speech, including sometimes the apps. The TikTok app doesn't favor it. So sometimes an occasional ban does happen. If we'll see later if the appeal goes through. If not, right now, 3, 2, 1, the TikTok broadcast is now up as well. Hanson, what happened to TikTok? It went down. There is a ban and we got an appeal going on. Everything about America is half lies. I agree with that. But I wanted to answer his question about why we only talking about Juneteenth, why we don't talk about black slave owners. And as I stated, it's not like black people were allowed to write the history in this country. So perhaps, like in the case of a lot of other blacks in position of leadership, blacks inventing things, a lot of historians didn't want people to know. That's why a lot of African Americans did not get credit for something they did, oftentimes until they were long dead. So maybe during that time, you didn't hear about blacks owning slaves because they didn't want to tell the world, you know, blacks are capable of running a business, running their own farm from a position of leadership just like we are. The whole mindset was that blacks were total fucking idiots. They couldn't operate in a position of leadership. That carried on in the military and everywhere. You can't put a black person in a position of leadership because they're incapable of leading. So if you tell the truth and say, well, here's a black slave owner down in this city that's got 20 slaves and a successful farm, that goes against all of the narrative you're teaching. So at the end of the day, we can't even tell people, yeah, there's a black slave. We can't tell them because it'll make blacks actually look like they're capable of doing this stuff. Perhaps that's your answer. I'll look it in the comments. Food, air, water contaminated. What are you guys doing to stay alive? I don't know. Drinking some of this contaminated water. Didn't know that. For inventions they created and whites took the credit. We know some of that happened as well. Why do people still pretend skin color determines ability? I wish I knew. Probably because it's the American way. I'll just say it like that. Old habits die hard. Probably because it's the American way. That's the way we've always operated. And it takes time for hearts and minds to change. You can pass a law to say what you're doing is wrong or to say this is no longer accurate. But if it's in somebody's heart and mind that it is, I mean, it's kind of like the 2020 election. If you believe that Trump won by a landslide and that Biden stole that election, there's no evidence going to change your mind on that. You can't pass a law, even if they passed a law that said it was criminal to continue saying that Trump won. If it's in your hearts and minds that he won, it's going to stay there. So you can't change what's in a person's hearts and mind. Looking in the comments, and I see Kelly in Texas said he did. All right, and I see also Christy says there's tons of evidence. I personally have not seen it. I'll just leave it at that. I personally have not seen the quote unquote tons of evidence that Trump won. And all of the things that I see brought up, and you're talking to somebody who watched 2,000 Mules 6 times, I think. Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000. I watched it 6 times. I watched Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, the Cyber Symposium, a 3-day. I watched all of that. I have not seen the quote unquote tons of evidence. Now, I agree with Kelly. She says it's all sorts of fraud. There's a big difference between fraud taking place in the 2020 election and evidence that Trump won. I'll go to the box, take the next caller, but let me just state this. This is where I believe perhaps MAGA has gotten it wrong on the election and why Trump had 60 court cases and most of the cases they wouldn't even listen to. It's because fraud during the 2020 election could be dead people voting, maybe illegal immigrants voting, maybe polling places closing windows and boarding up windows so you can't see what's going on. Perhaps Ruby Freeman, the mom and daughter team passing around drives, maybe unsecured voting machines, Dominion, Smartmatic. All of that could be constituted as fraud. But does that mean Trump won? No, because you can't prove that the fraud was utilized to benefit Trump. That's where the issue is. We can show things that look suspicious, but then we also want to have the courts assume that everything we presented was actually used and it only benefited Democrats. No court is going to do that. No court is going to do that. I can show you how I can use a backdoor method to hack into Dominion voting machines. So I need the courts to assume the Democrats did that and cheated for Biden. Can't do that. I can show you where it looks like illegal immigrants were receiving ballots. So I want you to assume that somebody actually checked on the ballot for Biden. Can't do that. And that is the problem. All of the evidence that is going to be presented that the 2020 election was stolen and Trump won is going to be accompanied by some assumptions. They closed the windows at the polling places. I couldn't look in and see if they were cheating or not. So I'm going to assume because they closed the windows, they're cheating on behalf of Democrats. Is it possible they could be cheating on behalf of Republicans? No, Republicans don't cheat. Only Democrats do. The courts are never going to buy that. I can see Ruby Freeman, the mom and daughter team, they're passing around drives like they're vials of crack. So I'm going to assume they're cheating on behalf of the Democrats. Can you show what's on the drive? No, I don't need to. I'm just going to assume they're doing it for Democrats. That doesn't work in court. And that's what happened, is that if you believe the election is stolen, you're not going to question any assumption. You're going to automatically believe, yeah, this doesn't look right there. The Democrats are cheating again. There they go. You can't go to court with assumptions. That's why every judge was like, what's the purpose of even showing up here? The minute they start saying, I need proof, it's over with. The whole case is, I've actually discussed every method of alleged fraud that was presented. Notice, I'm not saying dead people didn't vote. I'm not saying illegal immigrants didn't vote. I'm not saying polling places were not closed or they weren't, as Dinesh D'Souza says, people going around the same damn mailbox, cell phone data over and over again. I'm not even disputing the evidence. Even though there's no guarantee all the evidence is accurate, I'm going to accept all the fraud as 100% accurate. It still doesn't work because you're assuming all of the fraud was then utilized to benefit the Democratic Party. And you can't prove any of that. I seen on Dinesh D'Souza the same person going to a mailbox over and over again. So I'm going to assume that person was doing it for the Democratic Party. Is it possible those ballots were Republicans? No, Republicans don't cheat. Only Democrats do. That'll never work in court. Going back to the box, though, and that's why until you can actually show proof without all those assumptions, I don't think there'll ever be a time when we have definitive proof that the election was stolen. You got to come up with proof that doesn't carry these tons and tons of assumptions. Sip sauce. Would I be willing to interview Jill Stein? I'd be willing to. I got a chance to speak to Michael Cohen. I interviewed him for about a half hour. He didn't really like it. I asked him as many tough questions as I could come up with. I'd interview Jill Stein. I'd gladly do it. Looking in the comments. Do you pick Israel or Palestine or peace? I'm always choose peace. Going back to the box, let's try Alex. We were talking and the program went down. Good afternoon, Alex. Welcome back to the program. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Were we speaking or did it go down before I started talking to you?
We were speaking briefly.
Okay, where were we at? What part?
I think we were talking about the Juneteenth and whether or not Biden made a mistake with that or not. And in my opinion, is that I don't see it as a mistake. I don't even see how anybody can see it as a mistake. I mean, it's part of our history. Biden had an amazing quote when he did a speech about it. That was just, it takes a strong country to talk about and to face its ugly past and its ugly truths and to overcome and remember it, but also celebrate our furtherance past it. And so, I'm a white male, so it doesn't. I shouldn't really have it doesn't massively affect me in any one way or another, other than I got a federal holiday off today from work.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get. I mean, I don't care what folks are celebrating. If I get a holiday out of it, I mean, you don't have to be black to enjoy Juneteenth as a holiday. If you're a federal employee, you get the day off too. So I don't understand what the big hoopla is about it either. But let me ask you about another topic. The Ecuadorian immigrant that was in this country undocumented that essentially sexually violated a 13-year-old. Do you view this as hurting Biden's campaign at all?
I mean, the far right or the MAGA right will use it as ammunition, as they always do, I think. I don't see it being any different. I mean, they've used less for ammunition for their campaigns than this, but the way I see it is, I mean, kind of what Moo is saying is you'd have to at the same time, if you're not going to be in some form of hypocrisy, you'd have to blame him for all accounts of a 26-year-old being a predator on a young teenager.
But what about the notion that many believe that it is Biden's lax border policies that allowed him the chance to come here in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I listen to you every day, or almost every day. I try to, and
appreciate
and I
it.
understand. Yeah, it's fantastic. I subscribed last week.
Thank you.
After a couple months, I was just like, you know what? I'm here every day. Let's get on this train.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't get a lot of subscribers every day, so certainly appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No, it's great. I appreciate the format that you do it in. It's a lot more informative to be able to listen to one-on-one dialogue, whether it's somebody on the far left or far right. It's two people talking as opposed to a panel of people bickering and talking over each other. It's just too difficult. It stresses me out. But this is a fantastic way. I learn stuff all the time. But going to your question, I mean, I don't see it that way. I don't think you can possibly blame him for this one isolated incident. I mean, I do agree. I've listened to you for a long time. I do agree that things could be done or could have been prioritized earlier in his presidency. But I won't say that he hasn't done stuff lately or has tried to do stuff. It could have been a higher priority, and that's what they're going to nail him on the right. That should have been a bigger priority earlier on in his presidency. But I mean, I think if you're going to focus all of your voting potential on this one argument, then you're probably like a single issue voter. And I'm not that type.
Well, if you live in one of these towns where you're being flooded with immigrants and they're taking up your resources, or they're sleeping all out in the street and things like that, you can see where some people may have a problem with that, couldn't you?
Totally, and I guess I live in Florida, where I don't have to deal with much of it.
Because you guys sent yours to New York.
I didn't do that.
Right, your governor.
I'm originally from Michigan, so but I do live in Florida, and I do know I'm not a big fan of our governor by any means. But I do think that some of this this border stuff can get exaggerated. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that the whole country went into uproar and trucks were jamming the highways and getting down to that border, and only to find out that it wasn't quite what was it wasn't thousands of people jumping in the river and running across. It wasn't this big stand of arms. It wasn't quite like that, and I feel like sometimes it gets exaggerated, but then again, I'm not there, so it doesn't affect me, so I don't have that exact stance on it.
Fair enough. All right, I do got to move it on, Alex. And by the way, thank you for the support of the show. Come on back anytime. Enjoy yourself down there in Florida. He could be the presidential contender in 2028. DeSantis 2028. Any chance you'd vote for him?
No, absolutely not. It's been really tough. It's been tough living here the last few years and all of this stuff. I mean, don't forget, in his little presidential run, he basically forgot about what was going on in this state for a good amount of time, and there was a lot of things that needed to be addressed. So, no, you won't probably get my vote, but if you were. And
didn't he change Florida law because there was a law that you had to step down when running for president or something?
Oh yeah, it's the most Trump thing that he could have done was to say, hey, technically I can't be an active governor, because he had just won his second term as governorship, and he's like, technically by law I can't run for president. He's like, well, what if I just change the law? Then I can do it. And that's not the way I like things to be done, because that's just saying, like, I don't like the rules, and that's a lot of the type of behavior we see on the far right. I don't like it, so screw it. I'm going to do it my way or the highway, and I just, that's not been good for the last 10 years, in my opinion.
I don't think it's ever good when a leader changes a law so that the law benefits them. I mean, benefit their longevity, benefit their time in office. Yeah, I mean, like Putin became president of Russia and then changed the law because there was a term limit. He removed the term limit. So no, I'm not a fan of anybody getting in office and then changing laws to keep themselves in power. I think it shows what he might be capable of down the road. But Alex, thank you for coming through. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Come on back anytime.
Thanks for having me up. I'll be down here and listening to the rest of the show. Appreciate you, man.
Sounds good. Thanks for the support. Looking in the comments, and by the way, I'm not trying to solicit, but folks like Vast Whole Industries, a small super chat. I don't care if it's 99 cents. Makes your comment stand out. Any comment that is in color, I'm going to read it. But as opposed to typing the same thing over and over and over again, while I'm having a conversation, I see your comment probably a dozen times or more. That, I don't normally block, ban, or censor anybody, but when you're typing the same thing over and over again, you're taking away from other people who want to put comments in, and that usually will get you blocked or banned. So colorize your comment as opposed to typing it multiple times over and over again. But in regards to what you're talking about, essentially saying, how do I feel about Trump taking out a full-page ad about the Central Park 5 and demanding that they be essentially lynched or hung, I think he was talking about. At the time, you got what looks like 5 guys committing an heinous act of sexual assault and murder on a young woman. At the time, I could understand somebody being that angry. But once it became clear that the Central Park 5 were actually innocent, he should certainly have apologized, maybe even went further. Remember Barack Obama said something incorrect about a police officer during his term and ended up inviting him to the White House for a beer and apologized. That's what Trump should have did. In my opinion, that's what, once you know these, and they were kids. And not only were they children, the police went above and beyond and interrogated them without their parents, used tactics like keep them awake for hours and hours on end. Tell them if they tell the truth, which is that they committed a violent felony, they'll be allowed to go home. I mean, they pulled all kinds of stunts on them. Once you find out all of that shit, if you're dignified and you have your morals about you, you should apologize. I do believe Trump should certainly have apologized once in fact, Trump has kind of doubled down on it. Now, I'm not here to say Trump is a racist or any of that shit, but a lot of folks who do say that are using the way he dealt with that particular incident. Could have easily squashed that, nipped that in the bud by apologizing. I mean, simple as that. These are the wrong people. You called for their demise. You did it for the wrong people. Just admit that and move on. But instead, he chooses to double down on it. Respected, admired, a handsome liberal for his patience with the uneducated cult members. Oh, my God. Keep up the good work, sir, but I can't read the comments without getting angry at their stupidity. Oh, my God. Thank you for the support. That is how free speech goes. You're not going to like all of the comments that come in. I get MAGA that hates the libtards as well. It happens. Going back to the box, we'll go straight to one of my subscribers, Den Cow. Appreciate you guys tuning in on the backup page. Den Cow, Juneteenth. Did Biden, was that necessary? A lot of folks believe that Biden was trying to pander or something of that nature. What do you think about Biden designating Juneteenth as a federal holiday?
I see absolutely nothing wrong with acknowledging a point in time in our history. Probably the same people that have a problem with this were probably the same people who had a problem with Martin Luther King holiday.
I wouldn't doubt it. By the way, Tia, thank you for the support. Thank you for your super chat, Tia, Teresa 467. Yeah, I'm sure, but Martin Luther King, by the way, wasn't that designated by Ronald Reagan of all people?
I'm not sure who actually proposed it, but I know that the majority of the people that opposed it were in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure one of the last states to approve it was a Republican state.
Wow. And I will say this because I get a lot of folks all the time, my beloved MAGA in particular. By the way, folks, tap the screen on the backup page. Get your boy on up to about 20,000 likes. We are on the backup page while we figure out what the hell's going on with the appeal on the main page. But tap the screen, helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. You know how the program works, uncensored. I will say this in regards to your comment, Den Cow, because I get a lot of folks, MAGA in general, saying that it is the Democratic Party that exploits and mistreats blacks. It is Biden that is a racist and all of this stuff. When it comes to causes for black folks, like you're mentioning Juneteenth, it would be beneficial if there were not so many Republicans that are always against that stuff. I mean, Juneteenth is a holiday for us all. I don't see where there's any harm adding another holiday. Most European countries get way more days off work than we do. Yet there are a lot of Republicans that have a problem with this holiday. And I don't even understand it.
Yeah, a free day and somebody
right.
has a problem with it.
Right. But then again, I have heard, I'm going to say rumor because I wasn't around at that time, but I have heard that there used to be a lot of free things in society, such as college and things like that. But then the moment it became legal for blacks to get it as well, a lot of civil rights, a lot of white folks suddenly didn't want it no more. So in other words, like you mentioned with the holiday, yeah, I get a holiday too if you honor Juneteenth, but that means they get it. So I don't want it either.
Right, and I don't really like to go that far back in history, but there was a time in America where the government wanted to expand the power and influence of the country, and they gave away millions of acres out west to people to go farm and be plentiful. So they gave away billions, what now would be billions or trillions of dollars to the common people. Why? To help better the country. So when somebody says, hey, let's do something about this college debt to help these people who've been strapped by these dang on, these predatory loans, give them a little hand up so they can now spend that money improving the economy, starting families, buying homes. They got a problem with that.
Well, they say it's free shit. You took out the college loan. Nobody put a gun in your head. You chose to do that, so you should be responsible.
Well, look, I understand that, but there are times in this country when the same way. How many people had a problem with those senators and people who got PPP loans forgiven? Yeah.
I mean, it happens to other classes of people. I don't know why the college tuition borrowers are being viewed with such disdain. I mean, you're right. They bailed out the banks. A lot of people have been bailed out before.
Yeah, it's and I oftentimes, when I think about some of these things that they're against, I try to put myself in their position and try to use the same logic that they use when they oppose things, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Well, speaking of opposition, what about opposition to an open border? We talked about this Christian Giovanni guy, an Ecuadorian, came in the country illegally back in 2021 under Biden's watch. Now he's committed a violent felony against a 13-year-old girl. Does that change your view of Biden at all?
No, because if I want to apply that same logic across the board, we need to look back at all of the immigrants that came across during Trump's time and find out how many of them committed crimes and apply those to Trump.
It's a good point. We can be assured that there were some folks that came in this country illegally under Trump that has committed some violent felonies. I think that if Trump is correct, in which they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're sending us their rapists and murderers, then that means, surely some of them came in under Trump and committed some violent felonies as well.
Right. And also, we should also say, okay, can we say from the moment that the Republicans rejected that border proposition that would have stopped or shut down the border, should we apply that to the Republicans from that point on? Because the logic is, and I understand your position on this as far as he waited too long.
Yes.
But what I would say is that if the Republicans waited until now and said, hey, we want to get rid of the AR-15, Democrats are not going to say, no, we're not going to do it because, you know what I'm saying, because you waited too long.
Well, I disagree with you.
Accept the win as a win.
I don't think that's totally true. If, let's say Trump, and we know this absolutely will never, ever happen. Trump supports the Second Amendment now, but if Trump said, let's get rid of the AR-15, and you knew by him saying that it was going to make more independents and liberal-leaning Americans go towards Trump, would you want him to do it? Would you be willing to vote for Trump if he could get rid of the AR-15, knowing what Trump stands for? Let's say he changed on that one item.
Yes, and I would say that every Democrat that opposed it just because he said it is a hypocrite.
I believe there's a lot of Democratic hypocrites then, because I think that Democrats would rather have the AR-15 legal so that any American can get it and lose Trump as president than to outlaw the AR-15 and re-elect Trump. I think they would rather leave that AR-15 out there for now.
I don't know. That's pretty hard logic. I mean, that's just accepting, the fact that our total moral compass is broken and that nobody has any integrity and that, everything is just black or white, right, left.
Well, let me say it like this. Keep in mind, I don't want to sound like, I'm hardcore right, but I do agree with the right on this point. Getting rid of the AR-15 ain't gonna bring down gun crimes. That's just one fucking gun. I mean, the pistols, the shotguns, the SKSs, the AK-47, all this other stuff is still out there. You get rid of the AR-15, that's not going to bring down anything.
Okay, well then, if that's the logic you're using, you have to apply that to every situation. But you don't. You're applying it to this when you're saying, well, what Trump tried to do at the border, at least he tried. Yeah. He tried to do this. He tried to do that. Look, just let me know where your moral compass is at, and then we can have a conversation. But you can't move the goalposts every time somebody makes a claim. I'm willing to go along with your logic, but then don't try to switch it up when I say that. Use it the other way. Either he gets credit for trying, or he doesn't. Yeah. Taking away the AR-15, which we know is the most used in these mass casualty events in the country, is going to reduce the amount of deaths. Yes, you got a semi-automatic pistol. Yes, you can go around and you can pew a whole bunch of people with it, but it's not the same as going around with a precision military weapon with extended mags, and now we have bump stops that can go around and unalive hundreds of people in any incident. It's not. Yeah,
the reason why I disagree with you. Anybody who can buy an AR-15 can also buy an AK-47. Somebody said an MP5. I mean, they would just switch to whatever the next most popular semi-automatic rifle is. I mean, it would be that easy.
Which means they're trying to do something.
Yeah, but there is, but then Cal, there is a long line of automatic rifles that would easily suffice in any mass killing. I mean, you can take one, but there may be 1,000 of them out there. It's a tiny step in the right direction. I get your point, but it's a long journey.
I think what they're really referring to, they're using that nomenclature. They use an AR-15, but what they mean is long gun. And I think if they ever had any legislation, it would include all of the things that make long guns. The length, the calibers. It would not just be they take one.
I don't even know if that'll do it, because I mean, we had what was this guy? He was like he was an Asian, a Korean or something like that at Virginia Tech. He took out, I think, 33 people with pistols in America. 33 people. I mean, you get rid of the long gun. I get it. People are choosing the long gun because it's the most accurate. It has a large capacity. It is the best choice. But if you enter a school with a 9, you can do just fine. I hate to say it rhymes like that, but you can do just fine with a 9. You can take out a lot of people in close proximity.
Imagine if he would have went in that school with an AR instead of 9mm.
I don't know. I hear your point. I don't know though. I mean, you can do a lot of damage with a 9 if you're an accurate shot in a small space like that.
It's the design of the AR with the 223 round that's going to cause a lot more damage. Yeah. There were probably a lot of people that lived that wouldn't have if that attack were with an AR. But that's getting into the weeds and stuff. But I'm just saying. Are we gonna give people credit for trying at least something?
Yeah.
And just saying we just ain't gonna do nothing because nothing will work.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that. And I would be on here saying it may not change my vote wherever I'm going, but I would certainly be on here giving Trump credit if he did something like that. Just like I gave Trump credit, and I haven't had one African American yet that agreed with me, but Trump has had a rally in the Bronx. Some folks inflated the numbers to as high as 100,000 in attendance. I don't believe that's accurate, but he did hold a rally in the Bronx. He's been in an African-American church in Detroit, and now they're holding the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. This is a hell of a lot of African-American outreach. He should get credit for that. Folks are bashing him, but he's reaching out like no other Republican has.
Right, but then you don't give Biden credit for trying to do something at the border. Because you're saying he's not genuine about it. He's not genuine when he goes to Detroit. Think that that he's going to help those people. He got about 4,500 people in the Bronx, which you could throw a block party and get that many people in the Bronx.
4,500? That's all it was?
Because he went down there, and then when you looked at the crowd, the people said the majority of them were shipped in. They weren't even people from the Bronx. So we gotta be critical when we say give him credit for what. He can pay a bunch of people and get a couple of his fans to come down there to the Bronx and hold, signs and the hats and stuff, and we can say, look, he's really reaching out. But he just last week or the week before, he was calling the Bronx a shithole. When I come to New York, when he was going to his trial, this place went down so much. It's a piece of garbage out here. And now we saying, well, let's give him credit because he went down there.
Yeah, he said the same thing about Milwaukee, too, called it horrible, and then he cleaned his message up.
And just went right out there in front of them people and said, oh, it's the Democrats lying. When we got video of him saying it, and they out there just, yay, our leader, yeah. It's sickening sometimes.
All right, Dick, I got to move it on. You give me a chuckle for the day. Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
All right, you take care, man. Happy Juneteenth.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Same to you. What did somebody say? This what I thought was kind of funny. This damn pink shirt is making it hard to read any of this shit. But Timothy something says, I think Tim knows if he's a panda for Trump, he gets more following. You realize how many names MAGA calls me in the comments, particularly on my YouTube page where I got more MAGA than I got you folks on TikTok being liberal. Look, I got thick skin. I'm not trying to, I guess you mean pandering? I guess that's what you're trying to say, I'm pandering? I believe the shit I'm saying. I really do. That's why it comes across so damn well. It's actually authentic, but I'm not pandering at all. But you are correct. I could probably have a significantly greater following if I want Hodge twins, Larry Elder, and just got on here and bashed the fuck out of liberals all day. I'm certain my following would be greater. Same thing if I got on here and bashed MAGA all day. What makes this program unique is I don't do either one of those things. I see things that I believe is right or wrong. I hold the folks accountable regardless of party. Hell, I even admit when I'm fucking wrong. So it's not pandering, but I do appreciate your comment. Some might agree, depends on how you hear it. But no, I don't pander. I hold both sides accountable when I believe it is evident. The Democrats sure had the black people pegged when they said they could subjugate black people because I feel you all have been given false information about the Democratic Party. Jesus is the Messiah. False information about the Democratic Party. I'd like to hear specifically what you're talking about, but I do believe propaganda is fed to the African-American community, to Americans in general. I mean, we get fed all kinds of shit that ain't true. But if you believe as a black voter that the Democratic Party is feeding you false information, so you're going to vote Republican, and you believe the Republicans ain't feeding you any false information, then you're just off your rocker. Both sides are feeding you false information. It's coming from both sides. So I don't know if leaving the Democratic Party and voting Republican is going to solve that problem. Appreciate your input. Trump is finished. Lock him up. He's not finished, and he's not likely to get locked up. I wanted to read a comment before I go back to the box. Tap the screen. Get the likes on up to 30,000 on this backup page. Feel free to tap the screen. My TikTok audience. Get the likes up to about 30,000. My YouTubers, feel free to smash that like button. 80 can happen. Make that happen. The top 3 dots at the right hand of your screen can give you access to the like button. Gen X, you stated that you want your college debt gone, 2 years of military service. Well, depending on what kind of military service it is, I think a lot of Americans might take that. Listen, I'm in my 50s. I got a lot of college debt. I can't go out on the fucking battlefield. What do you want me to do? Do I get paid actual salary while I'm in the military for 2 years? I still got to feed my family. My big ass like to eat. So, okay, I get my 2 years, but am I just like you? A lot of times you can get a medical degree, you join the military, and you're getting a salary and they're covering your degree. So I'm not totally opposed to that, but I do believe there's enough Americans in this country that are seeking relief from student loans that the military probably couldn't even use them all. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in my age category. You know, what are you going to do? So, but I don't think it's a bad idea. But I tend to think that a lot of folks wouldn't even be in favor of that either. Thank you for your super chat. My daughter just joined the Army. I have no idea why. And that's the problem also, is now that younger folks are more educated, military service is not as enticing anymore. The current generations are not as easy to be fed propaganda as you and I were. You know, folks that are in my age. We had the library, we had encyclopedias, and we were left up to what our teachers taught us. We couldn't go online and see shit happening in real time or hear other opinions from other countries overseas. These younger kids now, they know a lot of this military stuff. It's bullshit. You're not fighting for our freedom. You're fighting to take the freedom from somebody else. A lot of these folks know that. So joining the military is not as inviting as it used to be. Going back to the box, though, we'll keep it moving with Jason. Good afternoon, Jason. I think Tim, wait a minute, I'm way behind on that. Jason, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. The U.S. military is anything but desperate. I don't know. I've heard recruitment is down. Even Trump constantly says the military is dilapidated. I don't know. They're not going to tell you the truth regardless. Because at the end of the day, we don't want our adversaries to know that we're understaffed or desperate. I mean, nothing you get from the military in terms of information can be taken at face value. Even when they tell you we need more aircraft or we need more drones or we need more ships, they don't always be telling you the truth. Sometimes it's budgetary concerns. They just want to keep that budget going. Nothing you get from the military should be taken at face value. I don't think anything they tell you is 100% trustworthy. You can look at both parties' histories, and in many ways doesn't reflect today's falsehoods like country before God leads to DGN no matter what. I don't quite get any of that. No one wants to fight for the war machine, and that probably sums it up, is that a lot of younger kids now view it as the war machine as opposed to being patriots. I'll continue on. I don't know what happened with my last guest. The box is problematic. I'll bring up stick the root. Oh, wait a minute. Bruce, is that what that says? There we go. Bruce, good afternoon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We're talking about, first of all, Juneteenth. And by the way, DJ Julio, yeah! Thank you for the hat mustache. DJ Julio always shows support to the program. We're talking about Juneteenth. Do you think Biden got it right, finally designating that as a holiday some 3 years ago?
So, as far as that goes, yes, to a degree. As far as that, honestly, I don't follow federal holidays. As a white man,
you don't follow Christmas or New Year's, none of that?
Well, those are more so, I guess you could say, historical holidays, not federal holidays.
Juneteenth is not historical?
You caught me there, actually.
I said Juneteenth is not historical?
No, yeah, you caught me there.
Yeah.
So as a white man, to be completely honest with you, it's never really played a significant portion of my life. It wasn't until I actually started dating a black woman whom I'm moving in with and we're planning on starting a family that it actually became a topic to me.
Okay. So in the beginning you said, I asked you, did he get it right? You said to a degree. When you say to a degree, that means partially right, partially wrong. Give me the wrong part.
No, so that as far as the action of sanctifying it as a federal holiday was right.
Okay.
As far as my stance on it, I've never been too enthralled in. I'm an anti-establishment, anti-government asshole. I'm just gonna say it as it is. I don't, quite frankly, pay attention to much of the stuff that the federal government does because I know that they're just doing it to fuck me over.
So do you honor July 4th at all?
I mean, I go out and watch the fireworks. That's just about it.
Okay, because that is the day, that is commemorating freedom from England. It's just for, as you say, a white man. So politically, which way do you? Yeah, you said you're anti-establishment. Are you like libertarian?
Fairly much so. Yes.
Okay. So you don't favor Trump either.
No. So, and I am a Trump supporter. That's just, I'm going to get that out of the way. However, the reason why I started supporting Trump was because I saw the entire system shriek and reel. And essentially Republicans, Democrats, all of the above just get blindsided by the fact that this asshole was being brought into office and they fucking hated him. Well, if he can make the system shriek and reel, apparently they've got something to fear.
Is it possible he's making the system shriek because there's a legitimate reason to shriek?
Not particularly. In all honesty, if you take a look at his foreign policy, like with the Abraham Accords and no extra wars trying to get us out of combats in the Middle East, if you take a look at his current indictments, or with, say, like the E. Jean Carroll case, that woman couldn't even remember what day, what year that she was supposedly assaulted.
Yeah, but you do realize
that she was wearing that day.
Yeah, while you're
wasn't even existing.
Okay, while you're pointing to the fact that the part, I don't remember hearing this part, but let's say you're correct. While you're pointing to what she couldn't remember, you do realize that when Trump stated she was not his type and was shown a picture of her, he actually thought he was looking at his ex-wife. So he couldn't remember her either.
That may be so, but nevertheless, when it comes down to it, they claim that she has the dress still that has his supposed sample that didn't come out for an extra 4 years beyond the latest date that she gave, just signifies that she's full of shit.
Well,
and what's better about that is the fact that the state of New York went through and ratified a law, or gave an extension to certain subsets of laws for victims of these supposed crimes to come forward, and there was only one person that was actually expected to come forward, and that was E. Jean Carroll, and that was solely because of the fact that it was in regards to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But if they actually cared about any kind of standing in that regards, they wouldn't have put a 1-year sunset clause. They would have just let it lie.
Well, let me say,
let me to come into effect.
Yeah, let me say this, because when you bring up the E. Jean Carroll case, she actually sued Trump for defamation. She didn't sue Trump for sexual assault at all. In fact, she never went after.
That's untrue.
Hold on. Tell me what did she win in court? Was it a rape?
No. Actually, the exact opposite. The court documents state specifically that she was not raped.
That's not true either.
The court documents say explicitly that she was not raped.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. E. Jean Carroll won 2 lawsuits against Trump for defamation. She didn't win any money from him for him sexually assaulting her. He has not been punished at all, despite her claims in regards to him saying. What she did is wrote a tell-all book about what she claims happened to her at the behest of Trump. Trump stepped up and started saying the book was fiction. And that's when she sued him for defamation. All Trump had to say is, I don't know what she's talking about, or no comment. He decided to continue criticizing her. She sued him for defamation. She won $5 million. He continued saying awful things about her. She sued him again and won $83 million. She didn't win any money for a rape.
No, he was found liable in a civil court for sexual assault.
He was found, but the money is for defamation.
Yes.
Okay.
And my point is, she was never found liable. It was found quite the exact opposite, that he'd not raped her. It was definitively stated in the court filings that he had not raped her.
Okay. Well, if you believe he didn't rape her, congratulations. He didn't get punished for it. He got punished for defamation.
Well, but you'd mentioned the word rape, though.
Okay. All right.
I was just...
Fair enough. Well, he
he
never received any punishment for any kind of sexual assault. He received punishment for defaming her.
Well, he was found liable in a civil court for
He
sexual
wasn't
assault.
punished for sexual assault, though. Liable schmibel. He didn't get punished for it. He got punished for defamation. In other words, all he had to do was just wish her the best and move on. He decided to continue injecting himself, saying all kinds of bad things about her. And that's what happened.
Maybe so, but nevertheless, we also still have our own freedom of speech. And if he wants to say that he doesn't know her, he's never met her, then so be it.
You don't have freedom of speech to defame people. He did a lot more than say. He did a lot more than said he didn't know her. He went above and beyond that. He said a lot more about that lady than that.
Which, nevertheless, he can say. She took her avenues to come after him for it.
If she writes a book, let's say, for instance, you write a book about somebody victimizing you, and the person that victimized you says your publication is a complete waste of time, it's all bullshit. You can sue and say, no, what I wrote is fact. Now we're in court trying to prove whether your book is correct or not. That's what led to him being found liable for sexual assault. He was the one that decided to attack the lady. All he had to do, like Chris Christie said, he could have just said, look, I don't know what she's talking about. I wish her the best. And that would have been the end of it. He decided to attack the lady. And it comes with consequences.
I was saying that her story's bullshit an attack. I'm sorry. I can say anything that... No, I'm not going to say that what you're saying is bullshit. But I could say that what you're saying is bullshit. That's my varied opinion.
You can't say a piece of, like a documentary. If I say what Dinesh D'Souza, 2000 News said is bullshit... I
could still have my own opinion that it's bullshit.
And they can sue you for that. And Trump didn't say it's my opinion or it's allegedly. He said fact. It's complete fiction. He didn't say alleged or it's my opinion. He said it's bullshit. And that's where he's at. That's what happened. I think the whole issue with Trump's entire existence is he's been trying to say, I have free speech to say whatever I want, and there should always be zero consequences to it. And he hasn't been surviving doing that.
Okay.
All right.
And
that's it.
I mean, there's really not much I can say upon that. I'm not going to go into things that I don't know. However, I will say in regards to, I mostly wanted to speak on something that one of your previous panelists had brought up. Me, myself, as a 5.56 AR-15 owner, have never hurt anyone. And if you want to say ban all long guns, so says your previous guest, you would be banning a very wide majority of hunting rifles. Yeah. The 5.56 AR-15 is no different mechanically than a 5.56 chambered hunting rifle. The only difference is the options that you can put on it.
Well, you don't have, there are countries like where I used to live in Australia where you can still hunt, yet owning a long rifle is not legal. You can put limits on using the right. For instance, if you live in downtown Manhattan, you can't have you're not hunting. You're not hunting if you're on Fifth Avenue. So you could have laws in regards to where you could have possession of the rifle. You could have, I mean, like, for instance, I believe in Australia, when the police go home, they have to leave their guns at work. I don't think they even get to take them home when I was over there. I mean, you can still allow people to use guns at ranges and things like that. There's no need to take it home and have it in your house, though. I mean, that's how they could tackle that.
So, I'm seeing in your feed here that it's an assault rifle. First off, I will clarify that an assault rifle is a selective fire rifle. An AR-15 is not an assault rifle. It is a semi-automatic rifle chambered in 5.56, 302, 300 blackout, whatever option you choose for. Also, the claim that 5.56 will tear through whatever you're shooting at, 306 Creedmoor is one of the most popular hunting rounds in existence, which is 3 times larger than a 5.56 projectile.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep I don't want to get too deep into firearms, but I will say this: a lot of times, folks on the left and people who don't use guns are often viewed as stupid for calling all these guns assault rifles. I did a video on this. Fact is, back in the 1980s, when they were trying to get people to buy this stuff, you can look up plenty of guns and ammo magazines from that time period, and they had on the front assault rifles. That's what they used to call those guns. Now all of a sudden it's stupid to call it an AR-15 assault rifle, but I on my page I featured all those covers from back in the 80s. When you're talking guns and ammo, the popular magazines at the time, they were calling those firearms assault rifles. So maybe they were wrong, I don't know, but that's what they were calling them.
Again, maybe so, but they were wrong.
Okay.
If you want to go by definition, the assault rifle is a selective fire rifle.
All right.
The AR-15 is not a weapon of war. It is a civilian version of what then later on became the M14, M16 platform.
Yeah.
The Colt company took the AR, the Armalite rifle platform, and then developed off of that into a war or military version of it.
Well, I don't know, even though I don't know enough about firearms to even quibble with you on it. I'll take your opinion as fact and leave it at that, but I'm just simply saying that I view firearms, the whole firearm, pro-gun, anti-gun debate very similar to the abortion debate. Now, owning a firearm is in the Constitution. Having the right to an abortion is not. But the same mindset exists. The Republicans believe by owning firearms, you're giving people the right to defend themselves, and you're actually having the right to self-defense. Liberals want to ban the Second Amendment or limit guns because they believe they're saving lives. They believe that if you ban firearms, you wouldn't have as many people die. I get the Republicans disagree, but the abortion debate is the same way. The Republicans want to ban abortion because they believe you're saving lives. Once again, the Democrats disagree. There's a lot of similarities between those two things. Both sides believe that the ban will save lives, and the other side believes that it's not true.
So as far as the abortion topic, I believe that there should be a limit as far as a time frame, but as far as my personal stance on somebody else's ability to do it, then it's not my fault. It's not my say. Now, I've already told my fiance that if she ever does it with my kids, we are done.
Well, if she does it with your kids, she's probably done with you anyway, but I'm just going to say,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, you want a limit on when a woman can have an abortion, but you're okay with a citizen having an unlimited access to firearms?
Well, the problem there falls on the fact of if a viable birth could be done, there's no sense in aborting the child.
Yeah, it is. It's still a danger to the woman. The reason why what you're saying makes sense, that if a viable birth can be done, there's no reason to abort the child, is because you have zero concern of the mother. Childbirth is dangerous. People still do die in childbirth.
That is not medically an abortion. If the mother is at risk, that is not medically an abortion. That was a recent change that they did to verbiage. There actually used to be or still is, a different term for that exercise or that practice. An abortion is the intentional killing of a unborn child.
So you're saying if the child is viable, but it is a danger,
is not at risk.
Yeah, I've never heard what you're saying. I've never heard what you're saying. From what I've heard, if you take the life of an unborn fetus or embryo, it's an abortion. I've never heard all these other twists and turns you're coming up with a definition.
I mean, it is what it is. That there used to be a different term. They co-opted it to basically make it seem like, oh well, it's in the safety of the mother. No, that actually was like ectopic pregnancies. You cannot have a ectopic pregnancy. That is, however, not an abortion. There is a different procedure, procedural name for that.
And the reason you don't know that is because I don't think anybody ever heard of it. I've never heard of it. It's called an abortion. If you take the life of something that's growing inside of you that was going to potentially be a baby, it's called an abortion. I've never heard it called something else.
Well, either which way, my stance basically still stays on the fact of whether or not, if it's not a threat to the mother, then and it's a viable birth, there's no reason to kill the baby. If it is a threat to the mother, and the mother runs the risk of dying there and the baby dies, then yes, there's a
and see what I disagree with you on is this, Bruce. Every birth is a danger to the mother. You can go in late in your 8th month, healthy baby and all. There are still inherent dangers to having a baby. Certainly if it's a C-section, that's a major surgery. Every birth is a danger to the mother. Did I lose you?
No, sorry.
All right.
I had somebody speaking in my lobby. So then, what is your solution? Unfettered access to abortion?
My solution is let the woman make the best decision for her own body. I don't want to tell her, I have the right to tell you to go through something that may be dangerous to you. Let that woman make that decision for herself.
I mean, like I said, personally, I can't tell any woman what she should do, but I think that we should have a moral, or a sense of morality to also think about the child, which is, again, why my woman knows that if she ever does that with my kids, then we are done.
I got to move it on, but when I hear states passing laws that limit how long a mom can be on welfare, I don't hear any concern for children. I only hear it when she's pregnant. The minute she's born, I mean, I got states out here passing laws that take free lunch out of schools. I'm not hearing all of this moral concern for children. Once they're alive, all that shit goes away. So I don't know if I agree with you on that, but Bruce, I do got to move it on. Appreciate you coming in.
Yep, it's okay.
Anytime. All right, moving the program on. You're a liberal. Ew, says Bob. Bob. I believe in free speech, Bob. Your politics don't mean a damn to me. I believe you should be able to state your opinion. We run an uncensored show here. So understand, Bob, you can be critical of me or any guest on the program all day, every day. If I see your comments, I have no problem reading them, even if they're completely critical of yours truly. Certainly hope that your comment adds to the program. Some people occasionally type in clown with no verbiage behind it. It doesn't add anything, but if you want to say you're a clown because of your stance on guns, abortion, on Trump, whatever, we'll certainly tackle that. But just simply typing in clown adds nothing to the program. How do we get on a call, my friend? Well, the audio you're hearing comes by way of TikTok. And I think we got some kind of hater or something on the program because once again, the TikTok side has went down. So I do believe there are haters on the program because the program has began to grow. We certainly got a hell of a lot of MAGA. We got a hell of a lot of liberals on the program, and we do get haters. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody just did it again. Back in the 1980s, a tool was the extension of a human thumb, and any tool used in malice became a weapon. Okay, I don't understand the point of that, but it is what it is. I see Kevin Law put that in there, clown, with just the clown emoji. I mean, like I said, it adds nothing to the program. You could type in clown and give me a reason why, and I would spend more time on your comment, but just typing clown means nothing. Real quick, Tim is a Democrat, says Bird Dog. I lean left politically. I'll leave it at that. I certainly am not a Trump hater, a Republican hater. I think the right has it correct on things like I don't believe a biological male should be able to go and play female sports and dominate the whole fucking team. I don't agree with that. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that are on the left that I disagree with as well. So I consider myself to be pretty split down the middle with the exception of I lean left on some social issues. It is what it is. And I saw Gen Xer earlier was talking about college tuition forgiveness. I'll give you the example I gave before, and that is I personally have loans taken out. I have 3 college degrees. One of them are paid off in full. I have 2 others remaining, and I'll probably be in debt most of my remaining life unless I find a huge source of income because of those college loans. Now, that's no one else's responsibility. No one forced me to go to school and take out loans. That is something I did. So this is where I understand when the right says you did it, it's your responsibility. However, the example I give is this. If I jump into a pool or a deep in body of water, knowing I cannot swim, that is my fault. I chose to do that. I was irresponsible. Now I'm in the deep end and I can't swim. One guy is standing there offering to throw me a life preserver. The other guy, that is your fault. Your dumbass jumped in there. You need to find a way to get out. What am I supposed to do? That is the choices. One guy is willing to help me, even though I done something that is hurtful to me, and it's my fault, my responsibility. The other guy, you need to figure it out. Nobody told you a dumbass to jump in. Those are the 2 choices I got. And I will say this, let's say Trump gets back in. Let's say we get $2 gas. Let's say inflation goes down. Let's say all of the things that Trump is promising actually come to fruition. They actually happen. I will submit to you this. With Biden giving us universal health care, certainly working with Obama, making that happen, and if he was able to forgive my college tuition loans, there's nothing Trump could do with the economy that would save me as much money as that. Nothing. $2 gas, good, low inflation, none of that's going to compare to that. There's nothing he could do. So I can either continue trying to navigate my way out of this deep body of water, even though I can't swim, or I can look at that life preserver and think, what can I do with it? Those are my options. That is it. And I understand it's free shit. I don't know, well, you just want some free shit. If I don't take the free shit, I'm in the deep end of the water. What do I do? That's what a lot of Americans, that is what a lot of Americans are dealing with. I mean, seriously, what do you do? Look at in the comments, Trump delivering 1% of promises makes him a better president than Biden. Damn. I'm assuming that means that Biden really, really sucks. Yikes. Real quick, let me turn that volume down here. Came here for a couple liberal tears. Should have brought a bucket. Liberal tears, huh? Okay, I'll let you know when I start crying, but okay. Can I have the N-word pass? I don't hold it. I don't hold a pass for you to use the N-word. But just for your sake, I want you to go out in public, find a very crowded environment, yell out the N-word, and tell them Tim, the handsome liberal, gave you permission to do it. There you go. In a public setting, find a crowded Starbucks, a crowded Subway, go to a ball game, stand up and yell it out as loud as you can, and you can tell them Tim, the handsome liberal, told you can do it. There you go. There is your pass. The mother is at risk in every pregnancy. As an insurance executive, I can assure you that mom gets gestational diabetes about 85% of the time, is why your insurance doesn't cover childbirth. Wow. You know, my stance on abortion is simple. It's about saving the life of the child, irrespective of the mom. I really don't believe anybody that has a hard stance on abortion is really concerned with what happens to the mom. I mean, the reason these laws are coming out like that is because of that. Certainly the ones that don't even take into account for rape and incest, Okay. Maybe the mom might be going through some serious mental health issues, feeling the baby of a rapist kicking around it. I don't care. We're going to say the baby. There's just not a lot of concern for the mom. That's why women are viewing it as if you don't care about them, because in reality, it really doesn't take women into account at all. It's simply about saving the life of the unborn. That's all it is. If she dies in the process or she goes through some mental health, who gives a damn? We're here to save the kid. Moving the program. And by the way, like I stated before, if you want your comment to stand out, the smallest of donations will help that. Type in the same thing over and over again. I have no other choice but to turn your comments off, because you just, yeah. I mean, just you're making it so other people can't speak. Child sacrifice. One in animal state wouldn't see that though. Child sacrifice. One in an animal state wouldn't see that though. I would submit to you that America has a history of child sacrifice. We just didn't call it that. I mean, everything from letting children work. I mean, capitalism has made it so that you can't even be home to raise your kids. We're sacrificing kids every damn day. We just don't call it child sacrifice. America doesn't operate in the best interest of child development. America is all about making money. If you don't have any time to spend with your child, your employer doesn't give a shit about that. We've never cared about child upbringing. We just didn't call it that. Tim, where did you get that shirt? I don't remember. I don't remember at all. I really sucks that my TikTok side is having problems with the haters. I'm trying to see if every birth was a danger to the mother, how did we end up with 300 million people in the United States? Well, there's a lot of people that get pregnant. I mean, I think everybody knows that there is not a such thing as zero risk of death when given childbirth. Let's say you have a 0.001% chance of losing your life during childbirth. I don't know what the real number is, but there is a real number out there. Well, all the rest of them are going to be healthy babies. It's as simple as that. You can get shot in the face. It's not 100% guarantee you're going to die. A lot of people do. Everything has a specific statistical probability. Now, childbirth is dangerous. I'm just going to tell you that. Whether you agree with it or not, childbirth is definitely dangerous. We should always prioritize the young over the old. I think in America, we prioritize the wealthy over everybody else. I don't think young, old makes a difference. It depends on your class and your financial well-being. Real quick, and like I said, TikTok is down. That's why we're doing it over here. Jaden says, can I have a shout out? There you go. Well, the decision for herself begins when she decides to engage in sexual behavior. Step 1, Section 1, Article 1 of the Human Sexual Experience is choice. I don't disagree that sexual responsibility is paramount. I don't disagree with that. But as many in the Second Amendment crowd states, you can't legislate morality, or responsibility rather. We're going to pass these laws making it tough on women who want to have an abortion under the expectation, well, they'll think twice now before having unprotected sex. It's not going to work. Didn't work with the war on drugs. That was the same shit. If we make it really tough on folks caught in possession of drugs, people will think twice before deciding to get high. That completely failed miserably. Understand, there is a reason why abortion became legal in America. Most of America's history, abortion was illegal. There's a reason why they legalized it. And it's not because of bleeding heart liberals. It's because a lot of shit was happening, whereas society realized it's probably less harmful to let some of these women who want to exercise choice do so, as opposed to having some woman take the life of her child You still have a child that's dead, but now we got to put her in prison for several years. At the end of the day, people are going to do what they want to do. I mean, it's just like with the drugs. It didn't stop people from using drugs. It's not likely to be very successful. And my humble opinion, my guess is eventually it will become legal again. Because the same reasons that made it legal the first time are going to start coming around again. And now we live in a society where people are more knowledgeable. The medical community is more knowledgeable. So folks will come up with synthetic cocktails so that you can abort a baby. I mean, you're going to create backwoods doctors. We always believe if you ban abortion, or better yet, if you ban guns, criminals will be able to find another way. As if you ban abortion, mothers are not going to be able to do the same shit. You believe a gun owner will always be able to find a way to get a gun. But you don't believe a mom will be able to find a way to do the same thing? You're going to have backwoods pill dealers, alley chemists. It's going to happen whether it's legalized or not. What was the term, safe and effective or something like that they called it? It's just going to be now done in an unsafe manner. That's all that's going to happen. It'll still be done. It just won't be safe anymore. Looking in the comments, keep up the stream. Love you and be safe. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Love the support as well. Van Nikak or something. I can't see the name, but thank you. Stinky coat hangers. Yikes. Oh my God. I'll leave that alone. Stinky coat hangers. Crazy. No wonder no woman is a mother if she considers abortion. Well, if she has an abortion, she's not a mother. She doesn't have any kids. You're spot on. Sorry I can't donate. I have a slight case of ligma. Yeah, not a lot of that happening today, but certainly from racist Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood. I'll tackle that. Thank you, Nate's Memes, for that comment. I will respond to that. And also Valerie Davis, for you folks that are supporting the program. Certainly a pleasure. Thank you. And for folks who wonder, see how the comment changed colors? Anytime somebody does that, your comment's going to be red because it stands out from everybody else's. It pauses my screen. It's in a big, bold colors. I have no choice. I'm going to acknowledge it. Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood. Talk about Nate's Memes comment. And thank you for your super chat. The idea was that Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood to promote African Americans to take their own lives of their babies and reduce the amount of African American offspring. Meaning that here's a racist that don't want black people being born. It's possible. I'm not going to say that that's not true. It's possible that might have been the might have been the goal of it. But in my humble opinion, I can't hate on you doing something by choice. I mean, if she created Planned Parenthood, nobody's being forcibly brought in there. It's your choice. And by the way, they were having abortions before Margaret Sanger came along. I can tell you that for certain. It ain't like Margaret Sanger is the creator of abortion. They were doing it. She just made it a safe place to do it. But the idea that Margaret Sanger was a racist and the right is going against abortion because they want to save black babies, that's a hard pill to swallow. I'm just going to say that. I don't think the banning of abortion has anything to do with saving black lives. That's my opinion. I don't think that's a hard pill to swallow. Trump and Biden are the same. Says art of mine. That's crazy. Everything about those two men is different. McKinnon has bachelor's in basket weaving, bachelor's in YouTube spam, bachelor's in bullshittery, bachelor's in trans Native American social studies. That's a mouthful. All right. Who is McKinnon? I'd like to see that. I see Tony. Thank you. I see that Tony in the comments. I said that was funny. That's the goal for Democrats. Specifically, if you go back in time to get red people off. Wait. That's the goal for Democrats, especially if you go back in time to get red off people instant. Retype that. I don't get the grammar of that. Planned Parenthood may have started like that, but they have evolved to be one of the best places for women to go seek reproductive health care services. The one in our city has a free pediatrician. Yeah, and that is another fact, is that Planned Parenthood is not, abortion is not the only thing they do. And the other services that Planned Parenthood offers, if the right wants to get rid of abortion clinics, they're not standing up and saying, well, we'll give all of those other services to women for free or extremely cheap or very affordable. They're not. That's what I said, is the problem is the right is going after abortion and doing nothing to accommodate all of the negative aspects of doing that, such as children are going to be born to moms that don't want them. So are you going to help out those children that maybe the mom didn't want to have, or that the moms couldn't afford, and all of a sudden, are you going to extend how long people can be on welfare or any of that? I'm not hearing any of that stuff. It's just have the kid and figure it out. Or as many would say, well, you should have thought twice before having unprotected sex. I don't know where to go with that. Just like the Democrats, and that's spelled with 3 Ks, just like the Democrat Party started as an anti-black KKK group, that's how it was maintained and how it's ending now, says, and that's 100% certain, 100% true. The Democratic Party of slavery, party that kicked off the KKK. Not disagreeing with that at all. But I think the fact of what you're saying, and what you're saying is factual, is a clear demonstration of how the parties have switched. KKK is clearly a white supremacist group. You look at the Democratic Party, they're for LGBT, blue hair people, as you guys call it, transgender. Obviously, the KKK is not going to hang around a group that's for all that stuff. The Democratic Party often fights to tear down Confederate statues and outright ban the Confederate flag. The KKK wears that flag on their uniform. So obviously, the KKK of modern times wants nothing to do with the Democratic Party. There is a party that will support the the Confederate flag. There is a party that will support that. It ain't the Democratic Party. I think that's a clear sign of how the party switched. Because the Democratic Party is against all of the symbols of the KKK. The Republican Party believes that there's free speech. Let them wear it. Let them wave it. Only 2 senators actually switched parties. I'm not talking about senators. I'm talking about the actual politics and mindset. That's what I'm talking about. One party lacks diversity to some degree compared to the other party. I'm talking about if you believe the Republican Party is the party for everyone, and the Democratic Party is the party of racists, go to a gathering and explain how that makes sense. You go to a Democratic gathering, it is incredibly diverse. You go to a Republican gathering, not so much. The gathering that has very few black people, this is the party that loves black people. But the party that has a bunch of black people hanging around, they hate blacks. I'm just telling you, it doesn't match what, even if it's true, even if the Democratic Party does not like blacks and the Republican Party is the inclusive party, It doesn't match what you see when you actually get to their gatherings. It doesn't match what your eyes are seeing. I've been to 2 Trump rallies personally. I didn't have a bad time being. I was fine. The people were nice to me. I enjoyed seeing Trump. I was only a few rows back at the first rally, but it's not very diverse. It is not very diverse at Trump rallies. It's not. Even the church he went to in Detroit, hardcore black neighborhood, the diversity in that church was not representative of that black neighborhood. Same thing in the Bronx. It's just not. There was never a party switch. Study Lyndon B. Johnson. I don't need to study Lyndon B. Johnson. I think most African Americans can simply talk to their grandparents. I mean, my grandmom was around when it happened and told me about it. She was there. I don't need to study anything. She was there. I believe her. She's related to me. And most African American ancestors of that time period are going to say the same thing. She was there. They seen Martin Luther King, who was a Republican, on television. I actually used a clip in one of my own videos on YouTube. Martin Luther King was on television, CBS Sunday morning back during those days. And they asked him, do you fear the Republican Party becoming a white man's party? And he stated, if more Republican progressives do not step up, I do fear this becoming a white man's party. What I'm saying is almost an actual quote. I don't remember it word for word, but I think about 90% of what I just said is what came out of his mouth. He said, yeah, if the progressives in the party, remember the Republican Party is the party that got rid of slavery. Republicans used to be progressives. Democrats were called conservatives. When you hear people say the Democrat was the party of slavery, they don't bring up that they were also called conservatives. But the Democrats were conservatives back then. And the Republicans were called progressives. Just think about it. America had been traditionally a country where slavery was okay. That's a traditional mindset. Getting rid of slavery is a progressive idea. So clearly, the Republicans ended slavery. They were called progressives. That doesn't come up because we know where the progressives affiliate with now. That's the switch. That's the switch that people deny. Looking in the comments, commies, I guess communists, have always used black Americans as mules for their anti-black agenda, especially through the Democrat Party, but we're hip to their politics now. The commies and all, but I don't disagree with the notion that Democrats can use blacks for their agenda. I think the Republicans have dropped the ball on some of this stuff. It is very easy for the Democrats to exploit blacks because the Republicans don't have any love coming at them from blacks. Trump is the first Republican I've seen in a very long time even go to a black neighborhood and talk to the people, which is why I was on here earlier saying he deserves credit for that. Normally the Republicans just tell you how stupid the Democrats are or how much they're exploiting you and do nothing for African Americans themselves. Nothing. If you were to put 10,000 African Americans in a hall, an auditorium, town hall style, come up with the top 10 issues that you believe concerns African Americans the most. The 10 they came up with, I can assure you Republicans are going to be on the opposing side of almost all of those issues. Doesn't matter how bad the Democratic Party exploits them. The Republicans are on the opposing side of most issues that concern the African American community. So that leaves room wide open for the Democrats to exploit them. All you got to do is say, listen, I'm not on the opposing side of your issues. You could be completely lying about it. But because the Republicans are outspoken, hell, we started the live off talking about Juneteenth. A lot of Republicans don't even favor that shit. The Republican Party is often against most issues that blacks feel are important. I'm just going to tell you, that's the way it is. So it does leave a lot of room for the Democrats, if they wanted to exploit the blacks, to do that. The debate will bury Biden. Possible. But what did I say earlier in the live stream? If Biden doesn't come out there sounding like Ozzy Osbourne and looking like Michael J. Fox, Trump is going to be in trouble. Because they've lowered the bar for Biden so damn low that if he steps over it like he did at the State of the Union address, it's going to show that the Republicans have greatly overstated any mental decline Biden is going through. They make it sound like he is completely out of his mind. Completely. I don't want to hear, the debates are June 27th. I don't want to hear on June 28th, well, he was only able to talk normal because they gave him a bunch of Mountain Dews, or he was strung out on cocaine, or his dementia purposely went into relapse right before the debate. That's bullshit. I want to see a guy that can barely stand up, is tripping all over the podium, can barely string together two sentences. Damn it, I might go straight MAGA right after that. That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear a bunch of bullshit excuses on why he sounded actually okay. Because then that makes MAGA look like they're lying about it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. What is it, 7, 8 days? 8 days away? We'll see what happens. This generation is so brainwashed that if we have a time machine to go back to see what Democrats have done to this country, our people, if we had a time machine to go back and see what Democrats had done to this country, to our people, and to our sisters, I guess you mean ancestors, they wouldn't believe it. I don't know. I don't know about that. Because the only way what you're saying works is if there is no party switch. And all historians admit the party switch took place. I mean, and like I said, you don't need to know if a party switch took place or not. You can see the mindset of both parties, the location of the predominant stronghold of both parties until something happened. All of the slave states are now identifying with the party that ended slavery. Something had to change. The southern states were willing to go to civil war to maintain slavery. Now they're all voting in favor of the party that ended it. Obviously something changed. I mean, denying that the party switch didn't happen is insane. All of those states down south, all of the former slave states, are now affiliated with the party that ended slavery, something they went to civil war for. You're going to tell me no party switch happened? Then how did that take place? Why the hell would they identify with the party that ended something they fought and died for? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Looking at the comments, do you think it's a problem that the U.S. is a de facto two-party system? Most parliaments in Europe have 4 or more parties. Do you think the U.S. would benefit from a bigger dexterity in politics? Yeah, I do. You like capitalism, right? In a capitalist society, everything's financially based. So is your politics. In other systems where they have socialist tenets and they're deliberately trying to make shit fair, we don't want that. We want a capitalist system. Well, the more money I have, the more people I can buy off, the more power and influence I'm gonna have. That's what happens when you promote capitalism. People who have get more rights and benefits than people who have not. right on up to and through your politics. Biden might check out in the middle of the debate, and MAGA should win very easy. Came from Nate's memes. If Biden can't finish that debate, you got my vote. I'm going to be all on here like Biden is through. I'll be the first one to be on there saying that. But if he gets out there and he stands up and handles Trump, won't you shut up man style, and he survives the whole damn debate, and all you can get from MAGA and Trump are excuses for why he's sounding so dignified, I'm not fucking with that. I'm going to come and call you out right off the bat. Just like I will call out the Democrats if he gets out there, like he said, and doesn't finish. They still won't shut up. Yeah. Well, yeah, back in the 1980s, they used the coat hanger as a scare tactic to persuade the American people to see things their way. Possibly, but women were having backdoor abortions. There's no doubt. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, if they ban abortion, there are going to be women having illegal abortions. No, I mean, there are always going to be women having kids they don't want. Mistresses getting pregnant that the fathers don't want the kids. Wealthy men don't want their wives and family to know they impregnated somebody. There are always going to be abortions no matter what the hell you do with the ban. The only difference is, as I mentioned, the haves versus have-nots. The haves will find an easy way to get it, even if they got to send their kid overseas or something. The have-nots are the ones that will struggle with it. But it's going to happen. You're not going to stop it. Either one could have a cardiac arrest and drop. You act like Trump is a super white guy. What the hell is a super white guy? The party switch was a lie that started being spread in the public schools in the 1980s. It's not a lie. As I just stated, the southern states that are now blood red Republican fought against the Republicans who wanted to free slavery during the Civil War. I think that's all you need to go with, is the fact that the Republican states wanted to maintain, or the southern states rather, wanted to maintain slavery, was willing to secede from the Union to fight a civil war so that they could maintain their way of life, which included slavery. And now they are all identifying with the party that ended what they wanted. That's about as perfect of an example of a switch as you can come up with. Otherwise, you're left having to explain why all of the former slave states are now Republican. There is no other explanation for that other than the parties clearly switch. Why are all of the states that used to have slaves now voting for the party that ended slavery? They all found Jesus? Is that what you're going to tell me? I don't think there's any other example that is more clear than that. Big fella looks like Judge Holden. Don't know who that is. How are the exception of the fact that both Republican and Democrats have the ability to rob us all equally in diverse and inclusive manner? That is a tongue twister. I don't quite get that, McKinnon. How are the exception of the fact, just the way the exception of the fact that both Republicans and Democrats have the ability to rob us all equally in a diverse and inclusive manner? I'm going to plead ignorance. That comment is too complicated for me to understand. Thank you for the super chats. Certainly Nate, Biden checking out in the middle of the debate. I hope that don't happen. That would really be an embarrassment to Biden, the administration, and to some degree, America as a whole, if he couldn't make it through that debate. That would blow any claims that Biden is within his faculties out of the water. That would show the liberals are lying 100% about Biden. I think there already is some of that. I do agree that the liberals are lying about how much Biden is in cognitive decline. I do believe behind the scenes, a lot of Democratic politicians are saying, we do need to put somebody forward. This is the wrong guy. I do believe they're saying that, but then when they go out on television, on MSNBC or CNN, they're making it sound like Biden is dignified. I do believe a lot of Democrats are lying. However, I also believe it's happening on the other side. On television, the Republicans are boasting about how great Trump would be for this country. January 6th, he had nothing to do with that. No, behind closed doors, you see what happened on the evening of January 6th? How all of them were blaming him for it and shit like that. We got a close congressional race right now in Virginia that shows how that shit takes place. A Trump-backed candidate is about to is beating, I think it's too close to call, but he's beating the incumbent. Shows what the flip-flopping can do. The Virginia congressman endorsed Ron DeSantis during DeSantis' presidential run, pissed off Trump, and Trump went to Virginia and endorsed his opposition. Now, once Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race, the incumbent in Virginia realized, well, shit, I'm on the wrong side of Trump now, and decided to jump on the bandwagon and endorse Trump like the rest of them did. Trump didn't take it. Trump still continued endorsing his opponent, and it looks like Trump's endorsement may win. But that's what happens when you don't stand for any damn thing. If you think Ron DeSantis is the right guy and he don't get elected, or you think Trump is wrong, like Nikki Haley said all of that awful shit about Trump. He ain't the guy. He's wrong for the country. Look where she's at now. Look where and that's what can happen. That's what can happen. Stand on your beliefs. Who's Trump vice president going to be? S. Myers. Thank you for the super chat. I was a strong proponent of Kristi Noem. I still would forgive Kristi Noem with her fine ass. I still believe Kristi Noem of South Dakota, but that dog killing shit, just like with Michael Vick, is a bit tough to overcome. I think Kristi Noem, South Dakota governor, would have been a perfect VP for Trump. All of that because she killed the dog. Wow. So she's gone. And by the way, I do believe, considering with the ban on abortion, a strong conservative woman would be better. I know they're looking at the governor of North Dakota, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, all men. I don't want to pull the race card, but all white men, of course. Now, some say Tim Scott. I don't think Tim Scott will get you one black voter. I just don't. But Tim Scott is in the mix. There's another black guy. I cannot think of his name right now, but he did say something to the effect that blacks were better doing Jim Crow. He certainly ain't gonna get you a damn black vote at all. You know who would have been a decent pick? I don't know if it can be done now with all the name calling. Nikki Haley. She's a female. She is a minority of sorts. Nikki Haley would have been an excellent VP pick. She's well-spoken. She has a group of followers, but the bash, because Trump makes every fight personal, I don't know if you can rein it in. Remember when Vice President Harris was calling Biden a racist and shit during the debate? They've kind of hashed that out. I think the way Trump gets into fights, he takes shit personal. And it's hard to undo it when you get that far into it. So I don't know if he could get Nikki Haley, but I think Nikki, and I see in the comments, by the way, due to love of Trump, when he takes fights personal, so does MAGA. Like I see in the comments, Nate's meme says, no, Nikki Haley is trash. That's what I'm talking about, stuff like that. Nikki Haley was not viewed as trash until she ran afoul of Trump. Ron DeSantis was a rock star until he ran afoul of Trump. Suddenly MAGA started hating him. So it ain't just Trump taking it personal. MAGA will often do the same. Everybody in the MAGA crowd loved the hell out of Ron DeSantis. You've seen plenty of Trump DeSantis 2024 flags and shit. The minute Ron DeSantis ran against Trump, he's a traitor now, and it is what it is. So Nikki Haley's probably not going to be the one. Chumps for Trump. Why they got to be a chump? Why can't they be a patriot that love the? Why you got to be a chump if you vote for Trump? I'd like to see your comment on that. Flynn for attorney general, no. Too inflammatory, no. Did Flynn do jail time, or did Trump pardon him or something like that? You got to get rid of the folks who got prison records and shit like that. All it is, I vote for the felon, but now your whole administration got felons throughout it. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing in America? Starting to say, you know, I know in the hip hop community, they idolize criminals. Is MAGA starting to do that? Trump needs Tulsi Gabbard. Not a bad choice, but I think Tulsi, when you trade on your own party, because Tulsi was originally a Democrat. I don't know. I mean, I don't think she would expand his base. I don't think she would expand his supporters at all. I could be wrong on that though. Tulsi is not like hardcore controversial. She's not Candace Owens. I get a lot of folks who say, you know, Trump Owens. Candace Owens is really inflammatory. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is as bad as that, but she is inflammatory. Nikki Haley is a Republican in name only. Nobody was saying that shit when they were voting her in South Carolina as governor. Nobody was saying that. But there are so many rhinos out there that until they ran against Trump, they were highly respected Republicans. Nobody was saying Liz Cheney was a rhino on January 5th. The next day, her whole background was tarnished. Simply because she ran afoul of Trump. So I don't know how to view that. I mean, Liz Cheney, for instance, she voted with Trump 95, 96% of the time. Her resume in Congress during the Trump administration should be an A+. Most of the stuff Trump implemented, she was for it. All of a sudden on January 6th, that is a rhino? Makes no sense at all. Clown show is on brand for me and the whole Republican Party, says David Moore. All right. Impeach Thomas and Alito, then pack the court, says Tia Teresa. Thank you for your support, Tia, earlier, too. That could happen. That could happen. Understand, folks, this is something that my beloved MAGA may absolutely love the shit out of. If I brought this up in a video that Clarence Thomas is 75, Alito is 74, Justice Roberts and Sonia Sotomayor, they're both 69. If Trump is elected in November, he's already got 3 appointments in his history already. He could be the first president to go down in history to say, I appointed as many as 7 Supreme Court justices. There are 4 out of those 9 people on the court that will be damn near 70 when Trump takes office in January. All of them may not make it. So it is a real good chance. And my guess is, with the adoration and love for President Trump, I think that as opposed to doing a Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as opposed to doing a Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I think Trump would be able to convince some of them to step down due to age. Clarence Thomas would do it. If Trump did a couple rallies saying Clarence Thomas, for the good of this country, need to step down while Trump was president, you would get rid of Clarence Thomas. So that's a 4th appointment for Trump. And I wouldn't be surprised if Judge Alito, who's in Trump's camp pretty strongly as well, would do it. So that's 5 picks for Trump right there. Now, Sotomayor and maybe Roberts would probably try to hold on. Justice Roberts, even though he was appointed by, I think, Bush, or he's a Republican, he might not bow down to Trump. But Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito, because they're both 74 and 75 years of age, I think Trump could convince them, step down so I can put in a 45, 50, 60-year-old to keep the country leaning right longer. I think Clarence Thomas would happily do that. I mean, I think it's pretty clear he could be bald. So that would be a 4th appointment for Trump. I think he would get Alito to possibly do it. I mean, after all, Alito is pretty far to the right, clearly. So that's 5 appointments for Trump. I think that's kind of guaranteed if he gets reelected. He'll be able to say, I got at least 5. And then it's up to Sotomayor and Justice Roberts, who are both 69 years of age. They could probably survive another 4 years. But I think Clarence Thomas and Alito would step down. I mean, why would Clarence Thomas stay in there? He's 75 now, trying to stay in there till you're damn near 80. When you could retire, the Republican Party is going to shower you with love, and you become responsible for a younger justice being put in that's going to keep the party even red more about another 40, 50 years. So you would lose them two, I think, pretty quickly. Looking in the comments, though, if my wife and kids didn't like me, I would be in the car talking stupid shit too. I like it, Travis. Shout out to you. Appreciate you tuning in, by the way. Appreciate that. By the way, folks, my TikTok is down. That is why we're communicating here, and unfortunately, I can't bring up callers. I can't bring up callers. Otherwise, I'd be chatting with you as I normally do. But I guess some people got mad. Damn, some big ass titties. Somebody got mad on TikTok, and the live stream is down. Let me look at the backup page, because this happens. Folks report the live stream, and unfortunately, shit happens, and that's what we're dealing with here. Let me see here real quick in the comment section here. Nate, no, that's crazy. America needs a 4-year system. I don't get what you mean there. Trump, the convicted felon president. Clown, not a chance. We'll see. My humble opinion is the odds are more against Trump winning than Biden. But I think that there's a real chance Trump could win. I do believe that Trump has more of an uphill battle. And I'll take it from the side of MAGA, who believe that Biden stole the election, the Democrats cheated, the Democrats are out to get Trump, witch hunt thing. Like, my point is simple. If all of that is true, if the Democrats could steal the election while Trump was actively in the White House, how would you think you could vote him back in? If the Democrats could steal the election from Trump while the Republicans were actually in power, now the Democrats are in power. Why would you think you can actually vote them back in? Why wouldn't the methods they used to steal the election then not work now? So going by what MAGA says, it should be obvious that the odds are against Trump more than they are against Biden. You're claiming that all of the powers of government are working against Trump. Media, FBI, DOJ, everything's against Trump in favor of Biden while Biden is president. You're essentially painting the picture of a gauntlet. If all that's true, he should probably lose. I'm not saying it wouldn't be unfair to Trump, but if what MAGA is claiming, I don't see how you would expect Trump to win. Now, the idea is we're going to vote him in by a landslide. Well, they claim they did that in 2020 and he lost. So if what the right is claiming, the expectation should be that Trump is probably going to lose. Otherwise, if Trump gets reelected in November, that shows a lot of the claims from 2020 are false. If they could vote Trump in power while he is just a citizen, that would probably mean most likely all of those claims from the 2020 election are false. It just is. If the Democrats are thieves and stealing the election, there should be no way Trump can win in November. If he wins, that shows that Democratic theft shit is not accurate. So are both of your TikTok channels banned? Right now, Gen X, or the answer is yeah. The answer is yeah. Trump is a winner. He doesn't lose unless the contest is or was fixed. So let's say, did the Democrats cheat? Did the Democrats steal the election from Trump? My answer is always the same. Show evidence. I would concede it all damn day. Sometimes your team, the team you want to win, gets away with a foul, gets away with traveling. You listen, I'm rooting for this team, but damn, they got away with one. I'd call it out. If there was definitive evidence that the Democrats stole the election, I would admit it in a heartbeat. There is no evidence of that. The evidence, I've been talking to you folks forever. Where is the evidence? For 3 years. It's going to come out. We'll find. It's like the Kennedy assassination. One day we'll find out who killed Kennedy. What do? You put the rest of your life on hold? Well, one day we'll know at some point if Trump's claims are not proven. You have to assume maybe they're not true. I mean, is there a time frame in which you say if he can't prove it by this point, I don't believe it? Or are you pretty much in the camp that I give him to the rest of my life and then some? I mean, if you can't prove it at some point, it's over with. That's how I view it. You made all these claims, show evidence. And I don't think you'll ever see that. I don't. He just taking to talk. Trump got signs of a desperate man. You think Trump's desperate? I think that Trump has a lot to lose if he loses. He could be. I heard Chris Christie. I know there's no love for Chris Christie among my beloved MAGA, but Chris Christie did state that Trump is deathly afraid of going to jail. If Trump loses in November, you think every case will go away? I don't feel confident in that. I don't feel confident in that. I don't know. I mean, the couple cases, Fonnie Willis, and I think Jack Smith's case has been delayed indefinitely. Eventually, those cases got to come to fruition, though. I mean, eventually, whatever excuses are being used to delay those cases, you only get so much time. I don't care if it's 3 years from now. I don't know, because those folks have careers riding on that. I don't think they'll let him get away with that. So if he wins and becomes president, now he can get rid of Merrick Garland or heads of state. Well, I won't say heads of states, but heads of federal offices that are judging him against the way he wants to be judged. Put in some loyalists, and then they'll just announce it was a witch hunt, like Trump has always said. We've decided we're no longer going to pursue this case. All charges against Trump are dropped. That's what will likely happen if he wins. He'll put in a loyalist. They'll review the cases and decide this stuff should have never came to trial to begin with. The federal government has dropped all charges against Trump. That's likely what would happen. Now, I don't know about the state cases, but that's if he wins. If he loses, I think those cases still will continue. Donovan, yeah, but even if all of them are convicted, he still gets community service. Think Trump's going to get community service? People are calling Trump desperate, but the White House and the media are trying to say all vids making Biden look bad are fake. Good point. I think Biden looks bad because Biden is getting old. I do believe what you're saying is that the Democratic Party, in my opinion, are lying a bit on the declining health of Biden. I think he is worse. And I do believe that behind the scenes, many heads of state, Congress, senators are probably saying, this guy is too old for this job. But they got to go on television, go on news, go on MSNBC, or This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and they have to look dignified and defend their leader. But behind the scenes, I do believe a lot of Democrats are like, this is not a good look. However, as I stated earlier in the program, I think the Republicans are doing the same for Trump. All of these Republicans you hear that are bashing Trump, and then later you find it, well, we endorse him now. You don't say all this awful shit about him. You got Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, all clips all over YouTube calling Trump a racist and a bigot and all this shit. Were they all lying at that time and they're telling the truth now? Or were they telling the truth then and they're lying now? So I do believe there are Republicans, just like with Democrats, there are Republicans behind the scenes saying the same about Trump, saying that this is probably not the best guy to put forward. But here we are, two of the most unpopular candidates in American history, I think. Both of these guys. I don't think Trump ever got over 50% approval rate during his time in office. And I think he's the only president in history to have an approval rating that low. Biden was above 60, but his has been pretty low as well. But Trump, I believe, has a record of the lowest approval rating out of any president in U.S. history. Lindsey Graham is a warmonger. Here's what I don't get. When Bush was in office, any liberal, like remember Cindy Sheehan, remember the Dixie Chicks? Any liberal that was against the war was unpatriotic, traitor to their country. Now all of a sudden the right is pointing out warmongers. It's crazy. Even Trump, even Donald Trump himself refers to the invasion of Iraq as the dumbest mistake in U.S. history. It's odd, but the Republican Party was promoting all those wars, and now they're calling liberals war and calling other folks warmongers. Gen X, think I'm gonna celebrate me some Juneteenth with a big ass piece of lasagna and some rum and cokes. I could use a Coke right now in this hot ass vehicle. I'm gonna probably go ahead and wrap this up in a minute, but I do appreciate you folks that are tuning in despite the lack of callers due to TikTok going down. Should I run it on YouTube tomorrow if TikTok doesn't get their act together? You guys let me know. Or should I shut the fuck up and take a week off? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. You can state your point. You know I don't block, ban, or censor. You know how it is. Should I run it? You guys are going to meet me here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central as we normally do? Or should I shut the fuck up for a week? Perhaps meet you guys again after the debate. After the debate next Thursday. Ryan Sharkey, thank you for the super chat. How can Trump say he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it, then sell his version of the Bible? Christians do that kind of thing? Yeah, they do. Actually, they do. I mean, that's one reason why, like I said, I grew up religious, and that is one of the reasons why I am no longer Christian. It is because of the sheer amount of hypocrisies. One of them being, how could you read from the same Bible as I do and think slavery is okay? Slave owners were very religious back then. It's the same book. It's the same Bible we read from now. How could they have been reading from this same Bible and think what they were doing was okay? And by the way, it wasn't just slavery. It was rape, incest. They were beating the folk. I mean, doing everything to them. They're reading from the same book. So, yeah, I do have an issue with Christianity just from the amount of hypocritical shit I see coming from a lot of Christians. I just do. And you say that's fake Christians. Well, how do you know where the real ones are? I mean, we took this country from the Native Americans while being Christian the whole time. And we did some real hardcore bestiality shit to them, all while being Christian. So is the whole country founded on fake Christianity? Because all of the founding fathers were in support of this stuff. Many of them owned people too. All of them did. So it has made me view Christianity differently. Because like I said, they were reading from the same book we do today, and they thought they were all going to heaven. If what we were told about going to heaven and hell is accurate, a large portion of the Confederate South should all be in hell. I mean, they were really doing some really bad things to human beings. We talk about Nazi Germany, for instance. I would submit to you there's very little that the Nazis did in Germany that was not going on down south. The only difference is the technological advances were not there. They didn't have gas like what they may have used on the Jews. But you can assume there are mass graves all over the South. There is very little in terms of differences between how the Confederate South treated people they didn't like versus what Nazi Germany did. Very little difference. That's why I have an issue with the Bible. I mean, that's why I have an issue with religion, because they were all doing that in the name of Christianity. Trump said he wanted to shake Frederick Douglass's hand. Oh my God. And that is something Trump did that he doesn't get blamed for. But Trump did say he wanted to shake Frederick Douglass's hand because he's presently doing a great job. Talking about a guy who's been dead over a century. Trump did say that. That is funny. I forgot all about that. What's old is old. What's new is new. Old Testament is for reference, but the gospel is what we need to follow. I'm just telling you. Back in those days, people believe, whatever Testament tells you, you could call a 14-year-old girl out of the field, tell her to stop working and bring her in your house and have your way with her. I don't care what Testament tells you that's okay. That's wrong. And we know that was happening back then. With 100% certainty, that was happening back then. That's my point. That is my point. Because that hit there, did that need you? Because that hat there did that. Need you in a vote for Trump? Well, let's see what Biden looks like coming out on stage. I'm hearing from my beloved MAGA that Biden can barely stand up and is going to look like Michael J. Fox walking out there. Let's see what happens. Obama brought intelligence and dignity to the White House. Bush, then Trump, dumb us the fuck down. Trump will sell America out. Well, they say that Biden is selling out America. So, everybody says that about their adversary. So you're going to vote for Trump. Since I see the red hat there, the red hat will always be there because I certainly have love communicating with MAGA. Let me let you know what the purpose of the hat is, because people, your politics, why the hell you got a MAGA hat? I strongly believe Republicans, conservatives, and definitely MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. I believe in free speech. Always have, always will. You'll always see the MAGA hat on the program here because you're not going to get blocked, banned, or censored here. The purpose of the hat is to let you know the program is, always will be MAGA friendly. I know a lot of MAGA are used to being blocked, banned, or censored when they want to go state their opinion in the media, on other social media pages and things like that. It'll never happen here. That's the reason you see the hat. I put that hat on and get what I want, and when I do, I throw it right back on my dashboard. Really, what do you get? I've worn a MAGA hat. I've been to 2 Trump rallies. I didn't get shit. Tell me how that worked for you. I didn't get shit. Look at the program. I got a few folks donating. It ain't going ape shit in here with donations. Tell me how you made that work, because it don't work for me. Nate's Memes, thank you for the support. When men do evil acts in God's name, it's God's fault. No, it's not. But men are the ones telling us how to behave and act in the will of God. I mean, the Bible ain't written by God. It's man's interpretation of God's words passed down through ridiculous amounts of generations and languages. You ever do the message test in school where you whisper in somebody's ear and then they whispering, and by the time the message comes back, it's all fucked up? The Bible was written at a time when English didn't exist. I mean, so you're following the Bible to code, those are not his exact words. It's coming from man. It's coming from the 10 Commandments, all of that stuff. It's coming from man. I mean, you're reading the Bible in a language that did not exist at the time of Jesus. That language didn't exist back then. So clearly, some human had to interpret what they thought the guy was saying. Some would even say they interpreted his skin color wrong. So you're following the Bible. You're following the teachings of man. You're not really following what maybe God wanted you to do, because it's not even in that language. English is Latin, but modified, right? Modified by who? Man. That's what I'm talking about. It's modified by man. Question, bro. Do the 10 Russian warships and 2 nuke subs off of the Florida coast concern you? Why or why not? Good question, Gen X. Friend, definitely a friend of the program. Gen X shows the program support all the time. And Gen X is MAGA. Love to hang out with you anytime, man. Thank you. The 2 Russian warships concerns me, but here's the issue. Just like I often talk about, when Trump speaks, you can have free speech, but there are consequences to it. How many nations have we had subs, nuclear boats, nuclear ships, weapons outside the coast of. You ever heard of the phrase, they think their shit don't stink? We're pissed off or concerned that Russia has ships 90 miles from Florida. That's how far Cuba is from Key West, about 90 miles. You realize how many countries we've been 90 miles from? Is suddenly wrong when somebody do it to us? I mean, we float in the Persian Gulf all the damn time. We don't have any property over there. We have nuclear arsenals in the Middle East all the time. So I do have to bring that up. It's concerning, but it's concerning because we swallow propaganda. That it's okay for us to do stuff, but it's wrong to do it to us because we're for good. We're for freedom. They don't want us in their area no more than we want them in ours. And we violate other people's space all the time. Satellites flying over their shit. Drones flying over their shit. Iran shot down a drone back during Obama's time. We're always doing this stuff. But it suddenly becomes wrong when somebody does it to us. I'm just saying there are consequences to what you do and how you act. I mean, we got ships near Russia all the time. All the time. If the Ukrainians become a member of NATO, you don't think America's going to put some equipment in NATO in Ukraine, which is literally across the street from Russia? I mean, the countries border each other. So it is what it is. I get we don't like people doing to us what we do to them. But America does this shit to people all the time. Looking in the comments. And like I said, we're hypocrites. This is more of that hypocrisy shit. This is more of that stuff. Bro doesn't understand how global coalitions work and that the U.S. is the head of many. The U.S. is not the head of it. The U.S. is forced and bogarted their way to being the head of it. When we attacked Iraq, what did Bush call it? The coalition of the willing. They didn't invoke Article 25. NATO didn't jump in because they knew what we was doing was wrong. We forgave debts. We mixed and matched every damn thing we could do to make some folks work with us and help us in Iraq. And the minute they started beheading Japanese soldiers and Philippine soldiers, they got the fuck up out of them. We're not the head of this shit. We force people because we have the power. We have the money. A lot of countries join us and shit and they don't want to be there. When I lived in Australia, I had people tell me all the time, we're sick of following you guys into wars. We're sick of this. America is by far the most powerful military nation on earth. Yeah, China's catching up because we don't outsource so many jobs and gave them so much fucking money, but we got the most powerful military arsenal on earth. Yet we're the ones that are always bitching about somebody trying to mess with us. It's like the 350-pound linebacker in high school always getting in fights, telling you people keep fucking with me. And Americans believe that. We have been fed the propaganda so much, we believe that these little tiny peons are constantly messing with the most powerful nation on earth. That's why a lot of kids nowadays are not eager to join the military. It's because they become educated enough to realize that stuff is bullshit. Gen Xer, agreed. We're basically getting a taste of our own medicine, and now it's a problem. Wow. Gen X. Okay, we working together. Exactly. How many of your pagans have a child trafficking good friend in your Rolodex? What is a pagan? I'm not that far to the left. All of them different pronouns. I don't know what all that stuff. What the hell is a pagan? I don't. Okay. America is by far the most diverse and least racist country. I don't know. I'm not disagreeing because a lot of countries don't even attempt diversity. A lot of places you go, there ain't nobody else representing a different background. There's an argument to be made there. I'm not going to disagree with that totally. Glad I didn't buy Trump's shoes. I heard some of those suckers develop bone spurs. Oh my God, Ryan Sharkley. By the way, thank you for the support. So if you wear Trump shoes, you develop, what are they calling those, like the J6ers or some shit like that? Develop bone spurs. That's a good one. All right. May hear that one again. Pagan is a Viking. Okay. I didn't know that. Pagans don't believe in God, namely Jesus. I grew up believing in Jesus. I still believe in a deity of sorts. I don't believe in what we were taught. I'm certainly getting further and further away from that. But I do believe in a higher power. I just don't believe in the way it is presented to us. I just don't. Why do you vote Republican? Why would you vote for Trump? Serious question. I lean left, but I don't see everything about Trump being evil. I mean, like I said, it depends on your issue. For instance, border security, I believe Trump is a better president, hands down, than Biden. I would choose Trump. If I felt fearful about what's going on at the border, terrorists coming here and shit like that, I believe Trump would be a better border czar, hands down, than Biden. You know why I say that? Because Trump would not even follow the law. I think Trump would be so gung-ho on securing the border, he would break the law to do so, up to and including loss of life of any illegal coming in the country. Biden is going to follow the Constitution, follow what, world agreements we have and shit like Trump's. Fuck all that. You ain't getting in here. If you got to die, you got to die. So I believe Trump would be way better on that. So if that is a issue to vote on, I'm not a fan, as I said before, of letting transgender men go dominate women's sports. That's another one. So I think that there are areas where I believe Trump may have a better stance than Biden, but there are areas where I think Biden may have better, I think he runs on things that are better than Trump as well. So I can see it both ways. But I did tell you, having multiple college loans my damn self, forgiving student loans will go a long way in terms of my finances. I just got to be honest with you. The fuck wrong with you, says Theta 13. What did I say that was wrong? You got a whole paragraph. Said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Tell me, Theta, I'll read your comment and I'll tackle it. True Ellie, you had your chance. Trump, you did nothing. Trans men aren't dominating women's sports. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's not a major issue. 99.9% of American schools do not feature a trans man dominating women's sports. But there are some that have done it. I think every instance of it is wrong. Even if it's only, it's nowhere near to the level that Republicans are making it out to be, that Trump is making it out to be. But I think in every case it's wrong. You're born a man. You still have the biology of a man. And then you go out there and identify as a woman and you're coming in first place. Yeah, I really do think that is unfair. I don't support that. So that right there is something I personally would get rid of. So, hang on a second.